Hello, Durud and Shalom. So, guys, I don't know if you guys saw this. Bibi just came out and had an interview, which I think is in response to a little bit of a conflict between Bibi and Trump. Do you guys, am I imagining this or is this happening? Am I imagining this or is Bibi a little bit secretly pissed that Trump has accepted the Hamas's response to the peace agreement, surrender agreement, um, and they kind of said yes, but not really. They kind of said okay, we'll agree, and they actually thanked Trump. Did you guys see that? Hamas thanked Trump in the response. They were like, "Oh, thank you, Mr. President." I've never seen Hamas ever thank the president of the United States ever before, but they did that. That's a new thing. And they were like, yeah, sure, this is great, we'll agree, but, and the but area was the but area, they had a lot of, there were a lot of things in there that basically made it clear that they do not agree with the terms of the surrender. And Trump was like, oh, this is great, this is exactly what we wanted. And I think Netanyahu was like, this is not really what we wanted. And also, Trump is now talking about, oh, the Islamic Republic, he says Iran. Iran contacted us, and they seem to be kind of be agreeing with me as well. And they seem to want to be playing nice as well. And I think that is worrying Netanyahu. I don't know what you guys think. So this interview, we're going to try to read between the lines to see, because he cannot just come and say that, hey, Trump is wrong. Like, he cannot do that. But we're going to try to see if what I'm saying is true based on this interview. What do you guys think? So let me see who's in the chat. Neil Bunny is here. Jack is here. Comrade Shifty, Lazy Reza. Who else? Oh, yeah, these are the people. I'm so glad the anti-Israeli and anti-Pahlavi people are here for us to laugh at. Who else? Amir is here. Jewish Samantha. Human is here. Lottie Block and CC, Karen, MTM, Wub, and Elijah. Okay, great. So let's just jump right into it.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, thank you.
How's the audio? How's my audio and how's the video audio? Is it the same level?
For joining us. And to begin with, we want to focus on the recent developments surrounding the latest deal with Hamas. Now, this deal comes close to exactly 2 years since the Hamas attack on the 7th of October. We might see the hostages freed on the same day they were taken 2 years ago. Bringing the hostages back, can you say Israel achieved its main goal?
Well, we accepted the deal, as did all the world. It was President Trump's plan. Hamas says that it accepted the deal. Now the onus is on Hamas. This plan consists of two parts. The first part is releasing all the hostages. Israel makes a tactical withdrawal, stays in Gaza. And then the second part is meant to demilitarize Gaza and disarm Hamas. That will be negotiated. But the first part is there. It's agreed upon. And that could be indeed the beginning of the end of the war. And as I said, since we accepted it, we have to see what Hamas will do. If Hamas will accept it, I think it's a very good sign. If Hamas doesn't accept it, and it's a possibility that we always take into mind, then Israel will receive, as President Trump says, the full support of the United States to forcefully act against it, to bring about an end to the war. I prefer, obviously, that we proceed with the plan as presented, but time will tell, and it won't take very long. In a few days, we'll know if Hamas agrees to the release of all our hostages. We can move forward. That is complete phase one of the deal. That's what we're trying to do right now.
Prime Minister John.
By the way, if Hamas releases all the hostages, if that really happens, like, guys, let's just put ourselves in the position of Hamas. I know that's a very ugly thing to say, but let's just do it for a while. If I am Hamas If I release all the hostages, then why wouldn't Israel then just come in and just get rid of, because I have lost my last piece of leverage. My last piece of leverage is the hostages. Is Hamas is if Hamas is releasing all the hostages, wouldn't that be just the end of Hamas? Or are they hoping that the leverage is that, oh, Israel, you have to listen to Trump. You have to listen to Trump now. Because if I'm Israel, I'm like, sure, let's do this. Release all the hostages. And once the hostages are released, I would just rain hell upon them. If I was Israel, that's what I would do. Like, there's absolutely no reason now for us not to annihilate you. The only reason why we couldn't do so many of these things is because our hostages were there. So why not? So guys, people are saying my audio is lower than BB. So should I just, maybe you could just increase the volume, because there's no way for me to increase his volume more than this. So maybe I could just put my microphone a little bit farther, and then you could bring our audio to the same level. Is that good? Yeah, and also Deborah is saying, what happened to Trump's assertion that the deal had to be accepted within 72 hours, no further negotiations, and the release of all hostages? Why are they negotiating in? Yes, you're right, Sharm el Sheikh. That's a very good question, and the answer is because it's Trump. He says something, and he's like, "Ah, this is it. You have to accept it, and or else, like, there's no other way." And then people are like, "How about this?" And I'm like, "Okay." Like, I don't know. Is this the art of the deal, or is this the art of the fold? This is the art of the fold. He just folds every time. Every time Trump folds, when other people come and basically, is it because they say thank you? Is it because Hamas said thank you, Trump? Is that every time somebody does anything nice for Trump, Trump all of a sudden folds?
No, if Hamas agrees to the release of all our hostages, we can move forward. That is complete phase one of the deal. That's what we're trying to do right now.
Prime Minister, just to follow up, so what happens if Hamas does not release the hostages? What will Israel do? How Israel will change its stance and the strategy?
Well, you have to realize that the reason Hamas agreed in the first place to this deal is because we acted militarily against their main stronghold, the city of Gaza. I gave an order to several weeks ago to the army to enter that stronghold. And as a result, Hamas became, I would say, a lot more flexible because they realized that their end is near. Add to that President Trump's intervention and the plan that he put for ending the conflict by having the hostages released first. That I think sealed this this situation in a positive way. Now, of course, I can't tell you if Hamas will agree to it. I think that it's possible. I hope it'll happen, but I can't guarantee that it'll happen. And so, if it doesn't happen, what President Trump has said is that he will back Israel completely in acting forcefully against Hamas. Well, let's.
Yeah, but okay. So here's the problem. President Trump. Okay, I'm going to try to stay away from the microphone so that our audio is the same level. Okay. So President Trump has said that if Hamas agrees, I will force Israel. I will keep them back so that they're not attacking in Gaza anymore. Okay. But if Hamas does not agree, then I would fully 100% support Israel in doing whatever they need to do in Gaza. Sounds good until you realize that Trump could act like Hamas has agreed, even though they haven't agreed. So Trump has this habit of saying something and then the day after says something else. So the problem is that if Hamas agrees to some of the conditions and not all of them, most importantly, whether they would disarm completely or not, then Trump might think like, oh, Trump never admits the defeat anyways. So he might actually come and say, this is the best we could have ever gotten. So this is good. But what's good enough for Trump is not good enough for Israel. This is the key that you have to understand. What's good enough for Trump, this is a violation of the 21 points, the 22 points that they had anyways. And what happened to, like, your Deborah is right. What happened to 72 hours? Like it's already passed. You said that you will support Israel to do whatever they want after 72 hours. Well, it's already passed. So why are you attacking? Why is Trump attacking Israel right now? Why is Trump arguing with Israel regarding them, holding back?
Hope that
This is why I don't know, guys. Like, am I exaggerating? This is why I think you can't. Sometimes Trump shows that you cannot trust his word.
that'll happen. And so if it doesn't happen, what President Trump has said is that he will back Israel completely in acting forcefully against Hamas. Well, let's hope that we can finish it the easy way and not the hard way.
Prime Minister, the world is watching closely as the latest deal with Hamas unfolds. After all the suffering, what's next for Gaza from your point of view? What is your message to the Palestinian civilians and to Hamas at this stage?
I think everybody understands that Hamas rule has to come to an end. All our hostages have to be released. And of course, Hamas cannot come back to running Gaza, tormenting its people with its terror regime, and terrorizing Israel with rockets and missiles and hostage taking. So that has to end. Once that ends, I think what we need is a system of a division of responsibility. Israel will have overall security responsibility to prevent terrorist resurgence from Gaza. But in Gaza, we need a civilian administration that is administered not by people who are committed to Israel's destruction, but those who are committed to living peacefully with it. President Trump has undertaken himself.
Can you guys imagine that happening? So we will have the military force would be Israel, the civilian force, the government running Gaza would be something that is not Hamas, but it's not Hamas like as well. Like it's not just basically Hamas with a different name. Because guys, just know that they're going to try to push. They are going to try to push Hamas to us in Gaza by calling it something else. They're like, this is not Hamas. This is Jihad Alayhi al-Jew group. Like I don't know. Like and they will come up with a different name. They will come with a different name and we're like, hey, this is not Hamas anymore because we just had a rebranding. But it's basically the same ideology with a different name. They're going to try to push that to us. And that shouldn't be accepted either. But who's going to, like, obviously Hamas sympathizers are huge in Gaza. How are you going to have people ruling over Gaza that is not anti-Israeli without them getting assassinated within a second after they assumed that position? Like, hey guys, hi! I am the new president of Gaza, not an enemy of Israel. I am in Gaza with all of these Hamas sympathizers and Hamas members around me, and I am going to be your president right now. Hi. What are the chances that guy is just going to be crucified or pushed off the, I don't know, rooftop or something like that? There is the are we going to have the IDF surrounding him? Like this is, I don't understand. So basically, if IDF is still there all the time, providing bodyguard like security, like as a security team for every single official in Gaza, is that the plan? I don't understand this.
To head that civilian authority, to head the governing board of that.
Yeah, that people are saying that will go great. Dark is saying that will go great, I'm sure. Exactly. And Jack is saying more likely to be assassinated than not. I don't understand how this plan is going to work. Guys, there is no other way. You either have to take over Gaza or just accept more October 7th. There is no other way. Just take over Gaza. Make Gaza Israel. Make Gaza Israel. That's the only way.
Himself to head that civilian authority, to head the governing board of that civilian authority. And I think that's a good development. So if we have that, I think we can have a different future for Gaza and for Israel and for everyone in the region. That's what we hope will take place. But the first step is release all the hostages and then disarm and demilitarize.
Yeah, actually, I agree with this. You know what? Let's just go with this plan. Let's just pretend that we support this plan until we get all the hostages back, and then we will revisit once we remove all the leverages that Hamas has. Then we will revisit how much we are in love with this plan or not.
Disarm Hamas and demilitarize Gaza.
Is that a good deal for Gaza, or is that the only deal for Gaza?
Well, I think right now it's the only deal on the table. There's no other deal, number one. Number two, I think it's very good for Gaza. And the Gazans are hoping that Hamas will, they want to free Gaza. They want to free Gaza from Hamas tyranny. Hamas shoots anybody in the Palestinian side who wants to dissent from Hamas war of terror in Israel, wants to dissent from Hamas taking all the money, the billions that were poured into Gaza. The Gazans didn't see any benefit from that. They just built an underground city, terror tunnel.
Okay, so I remember, guys, how I used to tell you that people in Gaza, many of them are turning against Hamas, and you guys didn't believe me. Well, here Bibi is saying that as well. However, to be like, that doesn't mean that so many people. That doesn't mean that there doesn't exist support for Hamas. Both of these statements are true. I know some people don't understand how this is not a contradiction. There is a lot of support for Hamas in Gaza. There is a lot of opposition to Hamas in Gaza. Okay, these are not contradictory. One of these do not negate the other. Okay, in fact, I think the lowest, the group that is the lowest in number is the people in Gaza, or the people who are indifferent to Gaza. Okay, I think that doesn't exist, or it's very little, but it's mostly there's huge support or huge opposition, and both of these groups are high in number. Both of these are high in number.
City, and so they want a different future, and Gazans are now fighting Hamas. They're actually fighting Hamas because they see now a hope to get rid of Hamas. So is that something that can happen? I think it could, and I think it's not only that within Gaza people are hoping that they can remove this Hamas terror dictatorship that has subjugated them for so long. It's that everybody in the world agreed to a new deal for Gaza, return of all our hostages, the disarming of Hamas, the demilitarizing of Gaza. Basically, the whole world has now accepted this plan. We have, most of the Arab countries have, the Arab states, as I said, have.
Yeah, this was a genius plan if Trump doesn't ruin it. Like, I was so happy with Trump because the axis of resistance has been trying to isolate Israel and turn the world against Israel. And just like that, Trump came up with a deal that instead of isolating Israel, got everybody on board on the same side of Israel, and Hamas and the Islamic Republic were being isolated. So this was guys, I'm not anti or pro Trump. When Trump does something good, I celebrate it. And when he does something bad, I'm against it. And this plan was such a great way to just change all of the narrative like that and isolate Hamas and the Islamic Republic. So if Trump just sticks with this plan to isolate Hamas, instead of just now Hamas coming out and basically agreeing to some of the terms and not all of them, and Trump calling it like an okay response, if Trump doesn't mess this up, this was a genius plan that I was willing to celebrate Trump for. Okay, but let's see what happens.
Europe too, and of course the United States, which has led this by President Trump. So that's a very good thing, and I think we should pursue it quickly.
Prime Minister, do you believe this deal would finally lead to a lasting peace rather than a merely temporary pause, especially given, as you said, that Hamas only partially accepted the plan?
Well, it can't partially accept it. It has to accept it in full, and especially the first part that has to get underway. That's what moves everything towards a resolution of the conflict. If they do, if we actually set up a civilian administration in Gaza that doesn't educate its children to hate Israel, to try to destroy Israel, to kill Jews everywhere. In other words, to de-radicalize Gaza, not only to demilitarize it, not only to disarm Hamas, but to de-radicalize Gaza.
Yeah, the de-radicalization of Gaza requires such heavy involvement, like very heavy involvement. You cannot do this by just allowing some people. You need to basically go in. You need to go and change the education system. You need to change all the media, the TV, the radio, and you need to do this without getting killed. Like, you need to manage all of it. Who can do this? Who can go into Gaza and change the education system there and teach children that, hey, Jews are actually not bad, without having their heads cut off? Like, you need a huge military presence to be able to pull off any of this. Like, how are you going to have teachers or TV anchors or other people in Gaza telling people, like, hey, we shouldn't annihilate Israel, Jews are not bad, and just you think they're going to just stay alive and there's not going to be any opposition to that? Obviously, you need military presence to be able to carry such a plan out. So de-radicalization will not be possible with demilitarization. You need to actually increase militarization of Gaza. You need Israel's military to go in and take all of Gaza to be able to do any of this. Or else, hey, you're going to be stuck with this for another, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 years. I don't know.
As was done in Germany after World War II or in Japan, then yes, then I think the whole region can have a much more positive and peaceful future. And by the way, I think that if that happens, I think we'll have many more peace deals of the kind that I had done with President Trump and Arab leaders in the Abraham Accords. We can expand the Abraham Peace Accords to include other countries in the Middle East and Muslim countries beyond the Middle East. So the future is bright, but the first stage is Hamas has to get on the program. They have to release all our hostages and do so immediately.
Well, the plan is seen as a...
The thing is that Bibi knows that if all the hostages are released, let me tell you something, guys. Hamas is not just one thing. Hamas has many different groups, many different, they have their own internal disagreements and fighting, and even their own internal assassinations here and there, right? So this is actually a good thing about Hamas. Finally, there's some good thing about Hamas, that they have so much internal conflict that Bibi could take advantage of this. Bibi could be like, okay, release all the hostages and then don't shoot at us anymore ever again. And then we will basically stay back. We will not attack you. But the thing is that if you can get all the hostages released, you could be damn sure that there's going to be at least one Hamas member somewhere in Gaza that's going to be like, fuck this shit. We need to actually continue fighting, and they're going to shoot their gun. And then now Israel has all the excuse that it needs to just go back in and do what it needs to do. And there are no hostages to worry about anymore. So this is why, yeah, go on with this deal, but make sure you get the hostages all freed, and then they would violate the agreement before you have to. So just let them violate it at some point. I mean, they're Jew haters. Of course they're going to violate the agreement at some point. And that's when you go back in.
Short-term solution by many regional actors. And the Arab countries may not follow suit unless what they say, they see a long-term solution for Palestine. How do you plan to get them on board from your side, from your point of view?
I think many of them are afraid of Palestinian terror state. Many of them privately tell us how they want to see Hamas eliminated from the scene. I think we can get to a solution that protects Israel's security and also gives the Palestinians the ability to govern themselves, but not to threaten Israel. That means necessarily that some sovereign powers will remain in Israel's hands, especially the sovereign power of security, because we've seen time and again that when Israel moves out, gives the Palestinians a territory which they govern without no limitations, then immediately Iran comes in, they set up a terror state, they attack Israel, as they did in the horrific massacre of October 7th. That's not a path to peace. If you want a real path to peace, then the Palestinians have to come finally to recognize and accept the existence of a Jewish state in their midst. And that hasn't happened. That's why we don't have peace here, because they refuse to, they don't want a state next to Israel. They want a state instead of Israel. And once any territory they get, they use to attack us again and again. If we don't change that, then, then this...
That's very key. Like, how could you have a peace agreement with people who their entire objective is your annihilation of Jewish people. And every time you sit at the table with them and negotiate with them, the point for them is not to end the war. The point for them is to buy time so that they could, recover from all the ass whooping that Israel has inflicted on them. And they're like, "Oh my God, that was too painful. Let's pretend that we want peace for half a minute so that we could recover and then attack again." I mean, this is not this is what they don't hide this. This is what they say to their own people. They do not hide this. This is their strategy. So you want to do a peace agreement with people who admit that they just use ceasefires as a way to recover so that they could do another attack later again against the Jews? Why would I give them that ceasefire? The only reason why Israel should consider this agreement is to get the hostages out, and then they could basically go and rain hell on these people. That's what they need to do. Yeah, Torah is saying idiots in the chat. Is Torah? Yeah, we have a lot of Jew haters in our chat. Guys, practice responding to them. Okay, this is a battle camp for you guys. There's a lot of Jew haters in our chat. Just respond to them. Okay, practice. These are real people. See if you could actually use your skills that we learn on this channel against them.
Conflict will continue. If we are able, with the plan that we have for the day after Hamas in Gaza, if we are able to change that, that goes a long way to securing a long-term peace and a stable peace in the Middle East.
Well, some of the critics voiced exactly this concern, as you say, regarding what comes the day after.
Exactly. And I said what comes the day after is a de-radicalized Gaza, a demilitarized Gaza, and a disarmed Gaza, in the sense that Hamas will no longer run the show. And the people who will run the show in Gaza, and those are not Israelis, they have to be those Palestinians supported by others who want peace with Israel and not the destruction of Israel. And once we get to that point, I think we can advance peace, not only between Israel and Gaza, but between Israel and many other partners in the Middle East and the Muslim countries beyond the Middle East.
Oh, guys, I forgot to set a goal. Let's do 10. If you could get to 10 super chats, I will stay and respond to your comments. Okay. Sorry, I started this late. Let me actually say, if we get to 10 super chats, I will stay longer and respond to your comments. I don't think we will get there, but it's good to have a goal. So let me set up the goal. Start. Go. There we go. Goal started in the live chat.
Prime Minister, would this plan and this outcome be possible without Donald Trump's mediation, given that Europe has been visibly absent from this process?
Europe has been absent because Europe has basically caved in to Palestinian terrorism, to radical Islamist minorities in their midst. And
guys, this is going to get... Guys, this is Israelis. Listen to me. You are going to lose a lot of your support from the West. It is inevitable. Okay? It is. You can see in Europe, in America, the Jew hatred is having a comeback. And more importantly, in Canada and Europe, the rise of the Muslim population is going to grow so much and these people will vote, and you're going to have less Western support in the future. And Israel, I know Israel is a strong country, but no country is strong without strong allies. No country, not even the United States, is strong without strong allies. And this is why it's important for you guys to gain support in other places. And again, this is why it's very important for you to get rid of your main enemy, which is the Islamic Republic, before you lose all of this support, especially from Europe and Canada and these other, and maybe even less from the United States. It's very important that, because it's TikTok, the support is not going to be as strong as it is right now. So because, hey guys, Israelis, if the Islamic Republic falls and you turn Iran into an ally country, then you don't need the support of these countries as much as you did before. You're going to be fine. In fact, you just gained the most important ally you could have ever had, which is Iran, right in the neighborhood. So get rid of the Islamic Republic, help the Iranian people topple the regime before all of this happens, before you lose your support, before Europe becomes even more Islamized and they vote more anti-Israelis into government. This is why this is very urgent. Getting rid of the Islamic Republic is very urgent. You need to do it before you lose all that support. Okay?
Basically said, just give them a Palestinian state, which would be the ultimate reward for Hamas after doing the greatest massacre against the Jews since the Holocaust. Now we'll give you a state in which you can continue.
Yeah, guys. By the way, say every time people say free Palestine, say free Iran from Islam. Say that.
Since the Holocaust, now we'll give you a state in which you can continue the war against Israel. That's why Europe has essentially become irrelevant and displayed enormous weakness. If you want to fight terror, stand up and fight terror. Stand up and be forceful against terrorism. Don't capitulate to its demands. Don't feed the crocodile, in Churchill's words, because it's going to come after you after it devours Israel or any other country that stands in its way. That's the first thing, what not to do. What should be done is exactly what President Trump is doing. He's presenting a realistic peace plan, a realistic plan that eliminates the terrorist elements, the elements that want to continue the war again and again, who vow to repeat the massacre of October 7th again and again.
Wait, look at what he's saying here. He's trying to emphasize
exactly
the
what
list.
President Trump is doing. He's presenting a realistic peace plan, a realistic plan that eliminates the terrorist elements, the elements that want to continue the war again and again, who vow to repeat the massacre of October 7th again and again. Remove them, replace them with a peaceful administration, and let's get that we can move on with peace. But that requires first releasing all the hostages and eliminating Hamas as a military and governing element in Gaza.
There are several EU countries recently recognized the state of Palestine. How this affects or will affect Israel's relations with Europe? How would you explain to those in Europe what are the goals of your government in Gaza?
Well,
yeah, the UK, Canada, France, Spain, Norway. The leaders of these countries are basically rewarding terrorism. They're rewarding terrorism. They basically signaled to Islamic terrorists all around the world that if you are violent enough, at some point we will submit. We will reward you with your effort for your efforts. This is basically has been a signal to the whole world that terrorism works. Canada has told the world that terrorism works. United Kingdom has told the world that terrorism works. And Israel needs to double down. Israel needs to do more settlement building in the West Bank, more building. You need to make sure that the response to Canada and Europe is that when you try to recognize Palestine, we double down on the settlements in the West Bank to make sure that your action backfires. Your action backfires. That's what the response needs to be. Israel needs to immediately unveil a plan for 10 times more settlements in the West Bank. That needs to be what the response should be. You need to make sure that Israel, as long as Israel, like you guys could recognize Palestine all day, all you want. As long as Israel doesn't recognize Palestine, there would never be such a thing as Palestine. As long as Israel doesn't recognize Palestine, there would never be such a Palestine. This is Israel's decision. It's not your decision.
I think it caused enormous damage first here in the Middle East because it's the ultimate prize for terror. You attack Jews, and as I said, the worst attack since the Holocaust, and you're given a state because that's who is going to run that state. And remember, the Palestinians had a state in Gaza, a de facto state.
And they fucked it up. Palestinians suck at having their own state. They have proven to the world, but the world is blind. The world is blind. The Palestinians are terrorists. The Palestinian cause is a terrorist cause. The Palestinians choose terror. They chose genocide when given the state. Why would we make the same mistake again? They had the state. They had the state. They had a so-called Palestine. I mean, there is no such thing as Palestine, but they called it that. Israel offered them the right to their own government, elections, managing their own, territory. What did they do? They brought death and destruction upon their own people, not just Israel, upon their own people. Why would we want to give these people another chance?
State, which turned out to be the greatest terrorist attack in history since 9/11. Imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Sarah in the chat is saying the pro-Palestine movement has no interest in coexistence because of this. No Palestine. Wait, and then top. No Palestine would exist. Exactly. I mean, Palestine is not a country, guys. Palestine is a name of a terroristic movement. Palestine, the flag of Palestine is a terroristic symbol. The name Palestine is the name of a terroristic movement. This is not a national movement. This is an Islamic terrorist movement. And it needs to be destroyed. It needs to be annihilated. This movement needs to be annihilated.
That after this terrorist attack in history since.
I guess, guys, I know this more than most of you guys. I'm Iranian. I grew up with this ideology. You have no idea what a poison this ideology is. This has nothing to do. These people don't even want a country. This is what these Western powers don't understand. You're offering them a country. They don't even want a country. They were offered a country many, many times. Every time, if it meant accepting Israel as a country, they said no. They don't want a country. They don't want peace. They don't even want to live a normal life. They don't want a good life for themselves. They don't want a good life for their children. The only thing they want is the destruction of not just Israel, but also all of the Jewish people, but not just the Jewish people. This whole movement is an excuse for the destruction of Western power, of Western culture, of everything that is the destruction of everything that is not Islamic. You're giving them a country. They don't want a country. They don't want a country. This is all just an excuse. They admitted this. They have admitted that the so-called country of Palestine is an excuse for their Islamic agenda. I mean, earlier for their pan-Arabist agenda, but now for their Islamic agenda. Anybody who says free Palestine is a terrorist sympathizer, knowingly or unknowingly. Anybody who says that. Anybody who also, guys, I'm going to tell you this, and some of you might disagree with me. Anybody who, no, I'm not going to say that because some of you who are on my side might get upset about me saying that. But I think you know what I was about to say. Okay?
It's 9/11. Imagine that after 9/11, people would say, okay, now let's give bin Laden and Al-Qaeda, let's give them a state. Not only will we give them a state, it'll be 1 mile from New York, which is what they're suggesting.
That is such a good analogy. Americans, imagine if the world was asking Americans, imagine after 9/11, the world came to Americans and said, like, hey, I know you just had a massive terrorist attack, but you brought this on yourself. You did this. History didn't start at 9/11. This is the result of your own mess, your own, involvement in other countries. So instead of reacting to 9/11, you should not retaliate. Okay? How about you just give these people a country, the people that just attacked you? How about we just give them a country right next to you? Right next to you. The people, how about you just like, hey, bin Laden and Al-Qaeda, we understand, we heard your complaints loudly. We lost 2 towers, we lost a lot of lives, but we get the point. We did you dirty. We have been unjust to you guys. How about we give you a country in response to 9/11? How about we give you, a country right next to our country. How about we do that? What as an American, how would you respond to that? As an American, how would you respond to that? This is what the world is asking the world is asking Israel to do. Oh, I'm so glad that the Jew haters in the chat also think 9/11 was an inside job, which is a good confirmation of the rule that anti-Semites are retards, right? Anti-Zionists are retards, which is it's good that you are also conspiracy theorists, which is really good it's really good evidence of all that. I really like it that you guys keep saying that in the chat. So let's continue with this.
After this October 7th massacre against Israel, will give the Palestinians a state 1 mile or a few miles from Tel Aviv. That's not going to promote peace, but that's effectively what the European leaders, those European leaders who suggested a Palestinian state, are saying. We're going to stop terrorism by giving the terrorists a state right next to their intended victim, whom they almost eliminated. That doesn't move peace. I think that the more responsible approach taken by the United States and by President Trump, that's the way to improve peace. How did we get the Abraham Accords? For 50 years, for 25.
By crushing your enemies. This is what Israel has proven again and again and again and again. That if you want long-lasting peace with countries that want to destroy you, you don't sit at a table with them. You don't sign ceasefire agreements with them. You crush them. You destroy their will to attack you again, ever again. That's how you do it. That's how you bring long-lasting peace. That's how Israel has managed to bring long-lasting peace before with Egypt and Jordan, and now maybe the UAE and Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. And that's how other countries, that's how United States has brought long-lasting peace. I mean, look at the difference between World War I and World War II. World War I didn't lead to long-lasting peace. It just led to agreements, papers, signing papers, ceasefire agreements, and whatnot. But World War II led into a long-lasting peace because the United States destroyed its enemies, destroyed the enemies of peace. Long-lasting peace comes from destroying, decimating the enemies of peace, not rewarding them with ceasefire agreements or accepting any of their conditions. I mean, it's quite obvious. You know how we say don't negotiate with terrorists? Why? Because if you negotiate with terrorists, you are encouraging terrorism. It's the same thing when it comes to states and war. If you negotiate with states and groups that start wars, you're going to encourage more wars. People think that Israel is anti-peace because it's not willing to do ceasefire agreements with Hamas. That's exactly the right position to have. You shouldn't reward them with accepting any of their terms. You should just annihilate them. You should destroy them. That's how you bring peace. That's how you bring long-lasting peace. By anybody who is an enemy of peace. I mean, it's amazing that Israel gets constantly accused of being anti-peace and warmongering or whatever, given that throughout the history of Israel, not a single time Israel started any of the wars that it was involved in. Every single time from day one of Israel's history, any war that Israel was involved in was started by the other side. Every single time. We got a super chat. Thank you. Sarah is saying Greta Thunberg passenger exposes her flotilla. Really? Maybe I should do a live. Guys, let me know if I should do a live stream on that. Thank you so much for the super chat.
Years, a quarter of a century. We couldn't
Ooh, look at this. The Jew haters in the chat are triggered. Triggered. Guys, if we get to 10 super chats, I will give you a link to come up and talk to me. Okay? If we get to 10 super chats today, I don't think we're going to make it there. We only got one today. But if we get to 10 super chats, I will drop a link in the live chat for some of these Jew haters to come up and talk to me. How about that? Okay, yeah, maybe that should be the reward.
expand the
I don't know if they're gonna come up or not because they're cowards, but we'll see. Oh yeah, okay. I'm saying yes, Armin. Check Greta Spy. Okay, interesting.
peace with our Arab neighbors. 50 years, 25 years, a quarter of a century, we couldn't expand the peace with our Arab neighbors. Everybody said you have to give the Palestinians a state. And that state obviously was committed to our elimination. So that wouldn't move it very far. In fact, it would move the needle backwards. In came President Trump and I, and we worked together, and we went around the Palestinian state. We went to Abu Dhabi. We went to the Emirates, that is. We went to Bahrain. We went to Morocco. We went to Sudan, and we brokered a direct peace between them, a peace based on mutual respect, a peace based on strength. First, you have the strength, then you have the peace. Now, what these European leaders are saying, let's weaken Israel to the point where it's fighting for its survival against another Palestinian state, this time right at the outskirts of Jerusalem, in fact, within Jerusalem, and right above the hills above Tel Aviv. Let's give them a state, and that's going to bring peace. That's absurd. So Europe has lost. Those European leaders, unfortunately, caved in to the terror of Hamas, and I think that's the wrong way to go. I hope they rethink.
Yep, that is the wrong way to go. Oh, by the way, Matt in the chat is saying, I'll come up. Guys, get us to 10 super chats so I could drop a link in the chat because Matt said, I'll come up. He's calling me a pussy. Okay, yeah. By the way, we got already 2 more super chats, so we're 3 out of 10 already. Hobbs just gave us a super sticker. And then Sarah gave us a super chat saying, Candace Owens brought receipts. Will you review? Yes, I actually have a lot to say about that. Let me know if you guys want me to respond to Candace Owens. The private chats of Charlie Kirk that he has just revealed as if to support his conspiracy, her conspiracy theory. That would be actually a good show. Let me know in the comments after the show which one should I do. But I do want to cover that. And Phil is saying 10 super chats. It's about money. Oh yeah, Phil. I'm so glad that you fucking idiots are also anti-money for some reason. I don't understand what your problem with money is, but I think some of you are lying that you guys also want money. Everybody needs money to grow, to live. But I hope some of you are serious. I hope some of you are retarded that you're also anti-wealth, because that will keep you poor and that will keep you backwards and weak and pathetic. I hope you are as anti-wealth and money as you say in the chat.
Their way, because we'd prefer to have not only good relations with Europe, but good relations with a realistic Europe, and one that would bring real peace as opposed to the repetition of horrible war.
Are you willing to negotiate with the European members to convince them to do that?
Well, I'm in constant touch with them. I can't say that. I can say that some of them have been more, I would say, more respectful of our positions than others. Others, basically, they're under tremendous pressure. The media is very very tilted against Israel. It just accepts Hamas propaganda, hook, line, and sinker, whatever numbers they give, whatever facts they give that are exactly the opposite of the truth, they've accepted. Then they have also these demonstrations from day one of the massacre, when women were raped and men were beheaded and babies were burned by these Hamas monsters. There were mass demonstrations on the streets of Europe's capitals on behalf of Hamas, And with this combined pressure of distorted media and internal Islamist pressure supporting Hamas, quite a few of them caved in. And that's not That's not good. I don't. It's not. I think it's not good for Europe. I think it's very bad for Europe because it encourages additional extremism and fanaticism, which will bring down Europe eventually. And I don't think it's good for peace. So I hope that Europe changes its direction. Some of it has, but some of it hasn't. I hope the part that hasn't rethinks not only for our sake, but for Europe's sake too.
Prime Minister,
Yeah, I wonder. I don't think. Yeah, this might even get worse before it gets any better. Europe is getting much, much more Islamic. So I don't know if this is going to get any better anytime soon. Comrade Shifty just gave us a super sticker. Thank you so much, Comrade Shifty. And also Darko just gave us a super chat saying 5 out of 10. Yeah, we got to 5. Guys, we're already halfway there. This is actually surprisingly is picking up fast. Thank you guys. All right. And also, how do I apply to be Israeli propaganda agent? Well, you can't because I think you're a Jew hater, so you're not welcome in Israel. I'm glad that you can't become Israeli. And Jack is saying, Armin, someone's criticized you for using the R word. They say it's ableist. It's not ableist because you're obviously not talking about people who have a mental disorder. It obviously, in that context that I'm using it, it just means stupid, right? So it's not actually, it's not, obviously, it's not referring to that. So it's not ableist in any way. And also, Elijah is give us a super chat saying hold up. Jew haters won't super chat because they are scared. Well, I think, yeah, I mean, well, also, I think they are also just poor. I mean, Jew haters are mostly unemployed terroristic retards. And oh my god, we got another super chat by Hobbs. Thank you, so guys. We're getting to 10 super. We're at 7 super chats already. So we might actually drop a link, a Google Meet link for people. Guys, Jew haters, you better come up when I drop the link if we get to 10 super chats. Okay.
the Hamas attack on the 7th of October marked a turning point in the conflict and the tragic loss of life and the ongoing suffering. I want to ask you, how do you reflect on the impact of it today, of what happened? What lessons from the day continue to shape Israel's policies? And in this specific moment, with the release of hostages imminent, and after all the immense suffering on both sides, has justice been served in your view?
I think the first question is, can we remove a threat to to perform another Holocaust on the Jewish people? And the answer is, I think we have. It's come at a great cost to us because we've lost some of our finest sons and daughters who bravely fight this war. I think we've done something else. It's not only been a war against Hamas terrorists, it's been a war against the Iran terror axis. Remember that in these 2 years of conflict, we also went after Hezbollah that threatened to rain down 150,000 rockets and missiles on our heads, and they did quite a bit of that. And we basically brought them to their knees, Hezbollah. We brought down, by our action, the murderous Assad regime that had murdered half of.
It's absolutely, it's incredible how much Israel has achieved since in the past 2 years. Like, I know there are some fair criticisms for Netanyahu, but you have to admit he has been incredible. He has, like, everything he has done in the past 2 years is close to a miracle. I know there are some disagreements so many of you Israelis might have with them. Some of them are fair, but in the past 2 years, you cannot deny that he managed to destroy so many of Israel's enemies in such a short amount of time. Are you not impressed by that? Like, Israelis in the chat, I know even if you are not don't like Netanyahu as much, I know some of you don't. But isn't that amazing, that the amount of accomplishments in 2 years? Like, did you ever imagine that so many of your enemies would be decapitated in such a short amount of time? It is really impressive. You have to be impressed. Moral Wombat, I'm so glad that your actual username showed up. Oh, guys, we're eight out of 10. So 2 more super chats, and I would have to bring these Nazis on to respond to me. These anti-Zionist Nazis. So Mortal Wombat just gave us a super chat saying, "Awesome stream as always. Lots of love. Keep up the amazing work." Well, thank you so much. And then Darko just gifted 5 memberships to the people in the chat. And then Mortal Wombat also just gifted 5 memberships to the people in the chat. Thank you, guys. That's very generous. That's very sweet. And we're at 8 out of 10. MM in the chat is saying, "Armin, how is it anti-Semitic to hate Israel?" Well, if you hate Israel, then you hate the Jewish people's right to self-determination. So either knowingly or not or knowingly or unknowingly, you are taking a position against Jewish interests in the world. So even if you don't hate Jews, you are taking a position that is anti-Jewish at the end of the day.
1 million of its own population and served as
Yeah, guys, by the way, like the stream so more people see this. Like the stream.
That had murdered half of 1 million of its own population and served as a main axis for the Iran terror bridge to the Mediterranean. We took out the most dangerous weapons directed against us and rolled back the Iran atomic threat to annihilate Israel. It's a tremendous achievement. And it not only threatened us, it threatened every one of our Arabs. Rolled back the Iran atomic.
Not just Iran, Israel throughout his history has managed to stop Iraq, Syria, and the Islamic Republic from going nuclear. The whole world should be thanking Israel just for this. They have done so much more for the world, so much more than this. But just this one thing has saved the world. Israel has saved the world from a nuclear Iraq under Saddam, from a nuclear Syria under Assad, and a nuclear Islamic Republic under Khamenei. Just these 3 accomplishments by themselves alone needs to get the whole world to be supporting Israel. Just these 3 things alone. Forget everything else. And trust me, there is so much else. There is so much more than that.
Threat to annihilate Israel. It's a tremendous achievement.
Oh my God, I see like the Jew haters in the chat. They're so pissed. There's like this way I say, bro, you are stupid. Wow. You guys have some really high level arguments. This is why when I give you a link, you don't come up, because you know you have nothing. You have nothing against me.
And it not only threatened us, it threatened every one of our Arab neighbors. It threatened Europe because they were building intercontinental ballistic missiles that could carry atomic warheads to Italy, to France, to Germany, to Britain. It's a huge service that we did, as Chancellor Merz said. Israel did the work for all of us. That was an important acknowledgement of what we were doing. And then, of course, we also have to deal with the Houthis.
Yeah, Israel is doing all of the world's dirty work. This is what other countries don't have the balls to do. Israel is doing it for them. Israel is basically taking out the garbage, the Houthi garbage, the Hamas garbage, the Hezbollah garbage, the Kataib garbage, the Kataib Hezbollah, the Hashd Shabi, the Fatimiyun, the Zainabiyun, the IRGC, all of these fuckers. All of these fuckers. This is the fucking Islamic virus that has infected the world, and nobody is dealing with it. The rest of the world seems to be importing it. Only Israel and the Iranian people are standing against it. The difference is that Israel is armed and the Iranian people are not armed. By the way, guys, we're only 2 super chats away. If I don't get to if we get to 10 super chats, I'm gonna drop a link in the chat to see who wants to come up and respond to me. Okay, so 2 super chats away. Yeah, Torah, try to. I know you're saying a lot of anti-Jewish garbage in the chat. Don't. It's really important. The battle that we're fighting requires a thick skin. So I know it's very triggering, especially if you're Jewish, to see this level of anti-Jewish hatred in the world. But it's really important to just get used to it, because this is what you're seeing in the chat is the reality of the world out there. It's a very, very, the anti-Jewish hatred is very, very common. It's disgusting, it's vile, it's a sickness, but it is reality. So you have to look it in the eye and just accept that the way it is. The best way to fight it is to see it first. You have to know your enemy before you can fight it. So look at it and understand it. Don't get triggered by it. Just look at it and see that this is the world. This is what we're fighting against. You have to know your enemy if you want to fight it.
That are blocking another Iranian proxy at the mouth of the Red Sea that is blocking maritime trade and is also raining down missiles on us, including last night. So we have a whole Iran terror axis, which we have rolled back, not only for our own security, but for the future of the world. And that's what
the future of the world, the entire world owns Israel. Guys, we got to 9 super chats. Amir saying 9. I would like to hear more. Well, thank you, Amir. Guys, we only need one more super chat for me to drop a link to these Jewish haters to see if they have anything to say, if they want to add anything to the conversation. Just one more. So let's see. One of them, what is that guy? The math guy is just waiting. Oh my God. Oh, wow. We got 10 super chats, guys. I can't believe it. We got to 10 super chats. Thank you so much, Sabith. Okay, so we only have 2 more minutes of Netanyahu speaking. Let me finish that. Let me just thank you. And what did Sabith say? Sabith saying, what is Egypt's in Jordan's view on the war? Oh, Egypt is very much anti-Muslim Brotherhood. So they want Egypt. The Egyptian government is really they're praying for Israel to win. So Matt, don't worry, I'm gonna drop the link. I hope you come up. Let me just we got another super chat. Well, guys, we're 11 super chats. Shani saying dedicated to the monkey on the shelf. Mom at first. Oh, please. What? I don't know what that person. Oh, Muhammad's first. I don't know what that means. Pulse. But thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, this is this doll. My mom on the hospital bed. She had it before she died. That's why I have it here with me always. Thank you so much, Shani. Thank you for the super chat. And Mr. Dove is saying jackpot bingo. Well, thank you. You guys are supporting us so much. We actually went above the 10 super chats. Okay, guys, let me really quickly finish this last 2 minutes. And as he's speaking, I'm going to prepare the Google Meet link.
That terror axis is what has funded Hamas, funded Hezbollah, funded the Houthis, kept alive all these fanatic forces that are not only against Israel, they chant death to America, death to Israel, and by the way, death to Europe in between. And I think it's important for the Europeans to understand what Chancellor Merz said in a broader context. We are actually fighting the barbarians who want to destroy our free societies. They want to destroy you. And we are standing at the front lines while we are being attacked from people in Europe whom we are protecting. It's quite amazing. So obviously, there has to be a change, I think, in the understanding of what battle is being fought here. It's not merely against the Hamas terrorists who hide behind civilians, who use their civilians as human shields, who shoot the civilians who want to get out of harm's way.
By the way, guys, the link is in the chat and is pinned to the top of the chat. So if nobody comes, then you know that Jew haters are cowards. Cowards. Okay? That's the link. There are so many of you hating on Israel and Jews in the chat. And if none of you come up, it just shows that every single one of you is full of shit. Okay, let me see. We got another super chat saying another one for good measure. Well, thank you. And thank you. It's shekels from Israel. Thank you so much. I love having support from Israel. It just makes me, it makes me all fuzzy inside.
We tell them
warm and
leave
fuzzy.
the area, the zone of combat.
Yeah, Torah is saying, get on the call, cowards. Yeah, I don't know. Why haven't you come up already? Like, not a single one. Like, you are like so ready to shit on us in the chat. But as soon as you get the link, not a single one came up. No, I thought like 10 of you would be lining up already. Where is it? Where are you?
It's not only against these monstrous terrorists.
Because you have no arguments. Look, like this person is saying, good little goyim. Yeah, that's all you could do. That's all you could do because you have no arguments. You have no points, or else you would have come up.
It's against the whole monstrous terror axis that Hamas has built, not only to destroy Israel, conquer the Middle East, but to attack you. And that is what Israel is fighting. Few Europeans perhaps understand it, but it doesn't make it less true. It's just when, as Churchill warned the world that was celebrating the Munich Agreement, celebrating the giving Hitler control basically of a part of Czechoslovakia, everybody said it's peace in our time. And he said, no, it's not. It's not. This will bring a war, the likes of which we haven't seen. And people condemned him as a warmonger, just as they're condemning Israel, just as they're condemning me. But in fact, we are fighting the battle of the free world. We are fighting the battle to prevent the barbarians from storming into Europe, first from conquering all the Middle East, storming into Europe, and then attacking the United States. Now, whether or not people see it, it's true. And I'm very proud of our soldiers who, in defending ourselves so courageously, are also defending all of free civilization.
Prime Minister, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Prime Minister. By the way, guys, here's the evidence that the link that I sent you is real. Okay, so you can see the link here. This is the Google Meet. If somebody comes up, like I didn't make this up, I didn't send you a false link. If a friendly person wants to come and just test it out, just to see that it's working, let me actually make it so that the screen is not showing. So now you already see the screen. I just want to make sure that if anybody comes up, it's not. Oh, somebody showed up. Hold on. Let me actually make this. Bring this up here. Save. Update layout. Okay, somebody showed up. Let's see who's here. View. Admit. Guys, let me know if you hear him or her. Jose. Hi. Hello?
I bet I'm trying to get in a good place.
Okay, guys, did you hear him? Let me know if you have his audio. Hold on, let me zoom out a little bit. I'm too close to the camera now. Okay, he's waiting. So see, guys, the link is working. That's if you the people who were okay, go on. Go on. What? Are you a troll?
No. Sick.
You look like you're pretending. That looks like you're pretending that you're getting cut off, but that's more like a pretend cutoff than a real cutoff. Yeah, that looks like somebody that's.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm out in the field right now, so I'm trying to find a good place.
Go on.
All right, so would you like to go ahead and kick it off? You can go ahead and start.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and start. What is your point?
So, first thing first, I don't think being anti-Zionist is being anti-Semitic. Mainly because Zionism, if you go back to the history, was more of an ideology for the Jewish people, not for Jewish people. So I can't remember his name, the original founder, but there were papers that he wrote saying that it was either going to be Palestine or in Argentina that they were going to go after the Holocaust. So therefore, I don't think being anti-Semitic is the same as, it's the same as being anti-Zionist.
Okay. But I didn't say, and did I? I didn't make that claim. I said being anti-Israel puts you in a position that you are basically taking a position, maybe unknowingly, that is bad for Jews. If you listen to me during the show, I also said either intentionally or unintentionally. Because do you agree that the anti-Jewish hatred and against the Jews exists and is worldwide and is deep-rooted and is basically one of the greatest hatreds in the world? Do you agree that historically the Jews have been hunted down? Okay, so do you agree that Jews have relied on other powers throughout history to protect themselves, and many times that didn't work out for them, and the very powers that were protecting them at some points turned against them? Do you also acknowledge that happening in history? Do you agree with that?
I agree that yes, there has been prosecution, obviously with the Holocaust and everything.
Okay,
but
no. I'm not talking about the Holocaust. I'm not talking about the Holocaust.
Any other genocide.
Wait, I'm not talking about the Holocaust. I'm talking about something a lot more.
Thousands of genocides.
I'm not talking about
Yeah,
the
like I said,
Holocaust.
It's happened throughout the years, but the biggest thing that happened was the Holocaust.
Okay.
There has been discrimination against Jewish people all throughout history, but you could say the same thing for other races too.
No, you can't. The amount of consistent hunting down and
Mm.
hatred and attempt to completely wipe out Jews off of the face of the earth has not existed for any group of other people. Okay, but given, like, I'm not even trying
There
to do
has
whataboutism. I'm
been,
not trying to even do whataboutism. Let's say you're right. Let's say you're right. It doesn't actually negate my point. Let's say there are other people who experience this as well. Okay, but I'm not trying to. Yeah, so we could think about what the solution for those people is as well, right? But for the Jewish people, given their experience, is it not a reasonable conclusion that they need to basically have their own state, their own country, their own government, their own right to self-determination, given how consistent historically they have experienced attempts to completely eradicate them?
obviously, yes. If they're, especially what happened with the Holocaust, and them being basically that happened. But I don't think it's right for people's lands base everything on their religion, not anybody else's religion, just their religion. And the whole thing with the Nakba coming in, then kicking out
It's not based on
millions of
religion.
Palestinians out of Palestine. It is
It's not
based
based on religion.
because
No,
if
you mentioned the
anti-Israel,
you mentioned the founder of Zionism, Theodor Herzl, right? He was not a religious man. He was very secular. He was non-religious, and his arguments for
yeah, you're
Zionism
cutting
was
like
not
in and
based
out,
on.
by the way.
I mean, guys, my internet I think is good. Guys, in the YouTube, is it me that is the problem? Because you're also cutting out in and out for me.
Like I said,
but I think it's
I'm field,
okay.
so
So
it's kind of
I'll
hard.
just let me
It
just
is
respond
probably
to
just my end.
this. Yes, your end. Okay. But let me just respond to this. Okay. But the arguments for Zionism was not based on religion. Once Zionism was successful, then it has many different versions. It has religious versions, it has non-religious versions, it has many different ways of looking at it. But originally, it was not a religious movement. It was not for saving their Jewish religion. It was for saving an ethnic group of people that was being targeted for annihilation. It has no. You don't need any religious arguments to defend Zionism. We got another person that also is.
Yeah, but the base
Okay.
of them going to Palestine is because of Jerusalem. So they use that argument of their religion, saying that this place was chosen for us by God.
Well, no, you also mentioned that
Which,
the Zionist movement was basically picking any place, like they were looking at other places as well, right? But obviously, the connection that Jews have, to Jerusalem and Israel as a whole, is both religious and cultural. It's not just religious. So for example, me as an Iranian, we Iranians have a historical tie to Iran. So, for example, if we were kicked out of Iran, we have we have also Zoroastrian, which is a religious tie to Iran as a land, but also non-religious ties. Like, this is a land of our ancestors. We feel a connection to it. We feel a historical tie to it, and we would want to go back. So, the Zionist movement was looking at many different options for where it could gather support to get the Jews to go to, and it realized that Israel is the best place. Israel is actually, they could actually get the most, like they were looking at anywhere. But among all the places that they could pick, Israel would have gotten them the most support. But also the benefit of that area was that an empire just recently fell in that area, which is the Ottoman Empire. So that land didn't have, no country was claiming that land as their own territory. So it was also in an area where so many countries were being born. Like if you go to Argentina, well, Argentina is already Argentina. If you go to Uganda, Uganda is already Uganda. Okay, but if you go to Israel, it was so convenient that the land of the ancestors happened to also be exactly at the place where an empire just fell, and this land didn't belong into any nation state, and it also was around the same area where new countries were being born. So this was actually very convenient.
You're
and it made
saying
absolute sense.
that
Yeah.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is that because the Ottoman Empire fell down, that it was up for grabs. That's what you're saying.
Huh? Say, you're
That pretty
getting
much
cut.
after the Ottoman Empire was, yeah, I'm sorry,
Okay,
but
you're cutting. You're
so
cutting
basically what you're
out.
telling me is because of the Ottoman Empire.
Okay, somebody else is here, so just say your last point, and I'm gonna bring the next person. Root 503.
Okay, if you can hear me, free Palestine, fuck Israel, being anti-Israel and anti-Semitic. That's like saying since you hate the KKK, you're against Christians. Doesn't make sense.
Okay, thank you so much for saying, when you say fuck Israel, it basically confirms to us the type of people you are, which is really good that, you're basically saying fuck to a country, a nation state that has already been recognized by international law as a legitimate nation state. When you say fuck that, it also shows that you people have no respect for international law that you claim to be on the side of, that you claim to use to support so-called Palestine. When you say fuck Israel, you're basically saying fuck to a country that has been accepted as a legitimate nation state by international law. So thank you for confirming that you don't actually mean any of the things that you claim to believe in. So yeah, it's a very good way to demonstrate that. So Root 503, you are on the call.
Hello, whatever time it is. I hope you have a good morning or evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You too.
How are you doing today?
I'm okay. I'm on fire. I think I feel.
You're on
I feel
fire. You're on
really
fire.
energized. Yeah, yeah. I
I
feel really
wanted to
energized.
I wanted to actually gauge your perspective more so than anything. I have a couple questions for you. What's your solution, like overall solution to the conflict in Palestine?
Okay, my solution is for Israel to go inside of Gaza. Okay, remove Hamas completely. Get the Arab countries there to partner with Israel to rebuild Gaza. Stay there. Stay there. So that like basically try a very very long term plan to make Gaza part of Israel, but not right away because so many people in Gaza are radicals and they cannot be part of Israel. We're
Understood.
talking about multiple generations down the road.
Mhm.
So we basically, Israel needs to stay there and provide a future to the people, not to like to the children and to the grandchildren of people living there. It needs to completely control the media, the education system, to de-radicalize the future generations of the people who are born there. It needs to
De-Islamify it, essentially. Would you say that?
no,
Like,
de-radicalize
you just
Islam.
de-radicalize? Okay.
Yeah, de-Islamization is because I mean there are Muslims in
Like
Israel.
a
Many of
Dubai
them are.
kind of setup of Islam type deal?
Yeah, I mean, yep. I'm anti-Islam. Okay, I don't think there is
I
any
know that,
hope
yeah.
for Islam, but
Mhm.
I'm not anti-Muslim. I think Muslims live un-Islamic lives. So my condition is not for people to be leaving Islam
Sorry
as
to
long as
interrupt.
they're living
Sorry,
peaceful.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I really don't want to bug you with
No,
that. So
no.
you say Islam is evil, not all Muslims are, essentially.
Yeah, I think people
I can agree with
use
that.
their religion more like a like a fashion statement, a membership card, and a identity card more than a thing that they follow word by word. Right? It's just
Right.
basically something. Okay, so I don't think Muslims are evil. I think Islam is evil, but Islam hasn't been able to make most Muslims evil. All right, but Muslims, many Muslims are good people because Islam hasn't been able to completely corrupt their mind. Anyways, so what I was saying, okay, so yeah, you need to basically work on the future. I mean, you can see there are Muslims in Israel that are citizens of Israel and they love Jews and they live next to them side by side. So it is obviously possible. I mean, you could see the level of radicalization among Muslims in Gaza and Muslims in Israel. Given how different that is, it shows that
Muslims
this
around
is
the world.
possible. Yeah, yeah,
Around the
exactly.
world. Yeah, I know. I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. So
Cool.
this is a possible thing to do. But what you need to do is you need to give people hope, something to look forward to. You need to, if you Islam is a death cult. If you want Muslims to move away from a death cult, you need to give them a life worth living, at least for their children and their grandchildren. And then you also need to monitor the elementary schools and basically kindergartens to see which parents are trying to radicalize their children at home, and you need to have fines for that, associated, like, just like we have child protective services in Western countries when parents are basically maybe putting their children in a cult or basically abusing them in any ways. Radicalizing your children should be considered illegal, and you need to have basically questions for children in elementary schools and kindergarten so that you could see if the parents are radicalizing their children at home. And there needs to be ways to punish that. And if you do this multiple generations, at some point, I think then you have a population that you could work with.
And that's to be done by the Israeli government and not, say, like Egypt or Jordan, who's been proposed in the past?
No, I think there needs to be a partnership. I think the military aspect needs to be by Israel. I think the building and the de-radicalization needs to be a partnership. But the military needs to be Israel. But this is all with the eventual goal of getting Gaza to become part of Israel.
The issue I see with that is the problem with, where you've had this conflict for so long. How can you expect somebody to just have what's happened in the past come over and say, all right, this is fine. We're gonna throw away everything we've grown up on and do anew with all of what you've just said.
You can. That's why I say, like, I have little hope for the current generation. I'm talking about their grandchildren.
But I'd argue that if you keep doing this, the grandchildren are gonna rise up even worse.
Well, keep doing what? Rebuilding Gaza, giving them jobs, giving them
being Hamas, essentially, doing what Hamas does.
Okay, no, you have to first get rid of the first phase of this plan is to get rid of Hamas.
No, I understand that, but okay, Hamas. It's not the organization. I'm talking about the overall like movement, the idea of it. What's going on here is we have, I forgot what the exact term for was when Israel came into the region. The
Nakba?
The Nakba, exactly. And that's still what's going on to this day. How can you say that the Nakba all of a sudden is not going to be a problem in the next 4 or 5 generations if this is what you're going to do? It's still a problem to this day.
The Nakba happened because the Arab countries attacked Israel, right?
Right.
That's how the Nakba. Okay, so you're saying, how is that going to be a problem? Let's say, for example, you have 2 generations, multiple generations of people in Gaza, and now you're born into a society where this generation.
Additionally, you have jihad too. They're Islamic. They have jihad. You know what I mean? That is a part of their religion. I agree with you. Islam is violent. So what I'm saying
but you also have Islam. You also have Islam. You also have. I mean, why don't we see this with Muslims who are citizens of Israel? Like, you see that much less, right?
What is the population? Like 3%, 4%? I know Christians is 2%. I didn't look into the Islamic population. Okay.
20%. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you don't see this level of violence from Muslims. I don't know, from like Malaysia or Tunisia or Morocco, right? So you can get there.
You can get there.
It's possible. You can get there by providing so Islam is about dismissing life and worshiping death, celebrating death. Okay. So if you want to fight Islam, you have to make life worth living, make this world look better than all the promises that Islam tries to make. If you give people a chance to have a better life, they will choose life over death. For radicalization,
how can you say that Israel is proponents of a better life when they've toppled every single government around them?
Israel has toppled every single government around them?
Yeah, when it comes to Libya, when it comes to Iraq, when it comes to Egypt, even. Through all the wars, and then ever since then, the countries have been ran by militias essentially.
How did Israel topple the government in Iraq and Libya?
They used the United States like an attack dog and got rid of them.
No, they didn't. The United States was much more eager to go and attack Saddam than Netanyahu. Just because Netanyahu
the interests aligned doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that it did.
Brother, he was literally in Congress claiming weapons of mass destruction after he was only close to nukes in 1991, not in 2003.
After 9/11. after 9/11, the vast majority of the politicians in the United States were in favor of that war. What makes you think Netanyahu was the person who basically tipped the scale? Do you have any evidence that it was Netanyahu? Netanyahu was in line, his position was in line with so many other politicians back then. I don't think Netanyahu not supporting that would make that much of a
Okay,
difference.
no.
The level of support.
So you're saying if Netanyahu came out and said you don't need to attack Iraq for us, that we wouldn't have done it, that we still would have done it?
I didn't make any claim. You're making the claim. Do you have any evidence for it? I didn't say one way or another. You're saying it was Netanyahu that did it. Do you have any evidence?
No, my evidence. No, I'm saying my evidence of the mutually aligned interest is the fact that Netanyahu was in front of our Congress advocating for it.
Yeah. I'm acknowledging the mutual interest. I'm saying but your original claim was not mutual interest. Your original claim was it was Netanyahu that made United States.
No, I'm saying that it wasn't. It's not necessarily Netanyahu. What I'm saying is, United States is used as an attack dog in the region in order to eliminate any type of threats to Israel.
I know what the claim is. I know what the claim is, but you haven't demonstrated that. The only thing you demonstrated is mutual interest. If mutual interest means that you're the attack dog, if two people have mutual interest, okay, and one of them does it, does that mean that one of them was the attack dog of the other? Let's say, for example, there's somebody that wants to kill both me and you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then I go and eliminate the threat. Am I your dog? Am I your attack dog because I went and eliminated the threat?
I mean, in a way, yes. I see where you're coming from. Where
that's just mutual interest. That's just mutual interest. That's not. I mean, if anything, people could argue that Israel is being used as America's attack dog, because Israel has been in more wars killing America's enemies than America has been in wars killing Israel's enemies. So, given that Israel has been in more wars killing America's enemies, one could argue that Israel is America's attack dog.
Give an example of that. And that interest was specifically for America.
So Israel has basically managed to decapitate Hezbollah, which has killed so many Americans, right?
On
Israel
US soil?
has managed in Lebanon, right?
In Lebanon, okay.
Yeah. There was a terrorist attack by Hezbollah in 1983 in Lebanon that killed so many in Beirut, that killed so many Americans, and the Americans were the target. And America wanted to go neutral, like kill all of these people that killed all these Americans, and they never managed to do it. And Israel did. Israel killed the murderers of Americans, right? Israel has more effectively than America managed to finally neutralize the leaders of the Houthis who have been attacking American interests. Israel has effectively removed Assad's ability to get a nuclear weapon, Saddam's ability to get a nuclear weapon, and the Islamic Republic's ability to get a nuclear weapon. These are all America's enemies that will be using those nuclear weapons as a way to be more hostile to America's interests in the region, right? And many of IRGC leaders who were responsible for using roadside bombs in Iraq that killed Americans were killed by Israel.
Okay.
Right.
So
yeah.
Okay. So. Okay. Fine. Sure. Okay. Fine. So you're saying that because Israel is able to get in with, say, is able to eliminate all these terrorists, that we ought to support them throughout all of their endeavors in the Palestinian conflict and whatever else. And that's your.
Well, I didn't make that claim. I was just responding to. I mean, I am in favor of supporting Israel more. But right now, I'm just responding to your claim that United States is Israel's attack dog, just because United States has attacked some of Israel's enemies.
Well, then how can you say that? How can you say it's not when we literally bombed Iran and their nuclear facilities?
Okay, so bombing the Islamic Republic. Okay, I'm an Iranian myself.
My bad.
Yeah. So, but I actually know a lot about this. First of all, the Islamic Republic becoming nuclear is Trump's main. This is something that Trump himself is very, very sensitive about, right? And in fact, the bombing of Natanz and Fordo and the nuclear facility in Isfahan worked against what Israel wanted to do. Okay, so what happened was Israel started the 12-day war in response to the Islamic Republic's attacks on Israel, right? And they were very effective at it. And at first, when Trump entered the war, and again, a lot of people think that Trump entering the war happened because Israel was doing such a good job, and they were getting so many praises because they managed to eliminate all, and I'm not exaggerating, all of the main commanders of IRGC within the first hours of the war, and people were so impressed by that Trump decided to enter as well. It seemed like because he was getting jealous. I'm not sure about that, but some people are reporting that he was watching it on Fox News and he entered the war. And at first, it seemed like it was good that Trump is entering because they attacked Fordo, and Fordo was too deep underground for Israel's bunker busters to reach. But what happened was Trump used that as a way to pressure Israel to end the war. Israel was getting very close into removing the political leaders of the Islamic Republic during that war. But because Trump bombed Fordo, he announced that the war is unnecessary and it needs to end now because we basically got rid of the Islamic Republic's nuclear ability. So he pressured Netanyahu to then end the war. But Netanyahu was so close to basically, toppling the regime because they were going for Khamenei next and the political leaders. So that didn't actually work in the favor of Israel's goals, unfortunately.
Okay, but that wasn't. I mean, Tel Aviv was getting absolutely hammered, my friend.
How do you say?
You didn't see the videos. We saw the buildings.
How many
Tel
people
Aviv was
died?
absolutely getting hammered.
How many people died in Israel during the 12 days?
Wasn't it around 100, 200?
How many people died? Let me
in
see.
Tel Aviv? It was in the hundreds, I believe.
How many people died in Israel during the 12-day war with the Islamic Republic? Let me ask Chat. I'm asking ChatGPT.
Yeah, you're good, my friend.
Okay.
I want to keep this respectful. I don't like people that come on these programs and are just complete jerks.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Have I been respectful?
Yeah, no, you absolutely have been. I appreciate that. Here's my stance.
So I have the answer. I have the answer. 28 people died in Israel.
Okay, 28. Wow. Okay.
28 people, and 27 of them were civilians, and one of them was an off-duty soldier. So basically, not a single soldier that was actively in combat. Okay, and then compared to that, the Islamic Republic lost not some, not many, not most, but all of the top commanders of the IRGC. Every single one of them. Do you see how different that is?
Right.
Right.
Okay. So, and you're saying that then the bomb was dropped in order to prevent Israel from either completely changing regime or, escalating something.
Yeah. And also, Nail Bunny is pointing out in the chat that Israel targeted the nuclear facilities, military bases, and military commanders, versus the Islamic Republic tried to maximize killing civilians, and it got 28. And let me tell you how successful Israel was, because this is the first war that Israel was involved in that it didn't lose a single active soldier actively fighting, a single one. Israel has been involved in many wars. This was the first war that not a single fighting soldier died. That's how successful Israel was. Go on.
Oh.
Hello?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right, fair enough. So it for me that still doesn't necessarily indicate that the United States absolutely has to be involved in everything that we do in Israel.
I agree. United States doesn't need to be involved in everything. In fact, if you are interested in United States being involved in less wars, then you should celebrate Israel, because Israel has been responsible for keeping United States out of so many wars. There are so many. United States being a superpower requires enough peace in many different pieces of the world for you to have enough stability for international trade, for your economy to go the way it's going. So Israel has managed to keep that area secure for United States without having United States soldiers involved. And so many of United States enemies who want to eventually come for United States have been stopped by Israel. So Israel has been a force that has helped United States stay out of so many wars.
But you don't think that they've martyred enough Muslims to inspire more jihad?
The inspiration comes from Islam itself. So let me tell you the history of this. The plan has always been to eventually come for United States and destroy the United States. This has always been the plan. Israel is considered to be the little Satan, and United States is considered to be the big Satan. Israel is standing in the way. They need to go through Israel to get to you. So Israel is basically the wall. So this has always been the motivation. Nothing would have changed that. This has always been the plan since day one. This has been the plan before all of this martyrdom. They went for Iran, right? They basically they removed the Pahlavi. So this was a three-phase plan. Pahlavi was phase one, Israel is phase two, United States is phase three. So all of these plans started before any of these wars, took place. So there's no changing this.
Okay, I understand that, but then what about the war crimes happening actively in Palestine? Do you deny those, or do you say that it's fine?
So war crimes by Hamas are obviously
by the IDF.
Okay. So IDF, I'm pretty sure there is, given that the scale of the war, that there are some soldiers committing things that could be categorized as war crimes, but it's not the policy of the IDF. It's
not systemic. You say it's not systemic.
It's not systemic. It's not the policy of Israel or the IDF. When war crimes happen on the Hamas side, it's the policy of Hamas to commit war crimes. When war crimes happen on the IDF side, these are just individual soldiers who have done a work. I'm pretty sure.
So I think we're being a little disingenuous here because we're using faith to explain the violence in one aspect, but then we're not gonna even look at the faith on the other aspect. While I haven't read the entire thing, the Talmud has plenty of stuff in it that would justify war crimes against Gentiles, and Palestinians would be that.
So first of all, many Israelis are secular, and even the religious even religious Israelis mostly make non-religious arguments for why they need to respond to October 7th. And also the Talmud is not a major part of the Jewish religion. The Talmud is just rabbis fighting against each other regarding their interpretation of the Talmud. So of the Torah, the Talmud,
interpretation of the Torah, exactly.
Yeah, sorry. The Talmud is just basically rabbis' commentary on the interpretation of the Torah. The Torah is their main. I mean, I'm not defending the Torah. I'm an atheist. Okay,
I know.
But you don't. You can't demonstrate a line, connection between the Jewish faith and the actions of the IDF in the same way that you could do between Islam and Hamas. I mean, at the end of the day, whatever the source of the actions is, I just look at the result. The result is that Hamas is targeting civilians on purpose to kill civilians, but IDF has done above and beyond any other army ever to try to reduce civilian casualties. That is what we see.
That's contentious at best.
How so?
Evidence to say otherwise. We've got plenty of for example, the caravan of ambulances that got shot up. The little girl who literally died on the phone with 911 as her parents died. There's too many examples.
Okay, so examples are not a way for us to come up with a conclusion, right? So because I first of all, I don't know the examples that you're talking about. I myself have a show. I lost a lot of support doing a show looking at one of the ambulance attacks and basically criticizing it as something that shouldn't have happened, right? But most of the ambulance attacks that have happened was because Hamas was in them. But you cannot judge these things based on examples, because if you're looking for examples, given the scale of the war, I'm pretty sure you could find things that I would myself categorize as a war crime. The way that you could judge IDF to see if they have been a moral army or not is just look at the end result and look at the numbers. And based on the numbers that we're seeing, I mean, look at if you talk about examples, you don't mention the examples of the IDF dropping leaflets warning people to how to get out of with maps on how to get out of the heavy bombardment areas. You don't talk about all the Israeli army, Arab-speaking Israeli army that is constantly calling into Gaza, telling people where to go to avoid the bombardment. You don't talking about the explosions that they on top of the buildings, so that the people in the building know how to leave the area, leave the building before the building gets bombed. You don't talk about the fact that Israel has moved more calories into a war zone than any country has ever moved food into a war zone in the history of modern warfare. So these are also examples, but the main thing I look at is the numbers. And the fact is that no country has managed to reduce the civilian to combatant casualties in a war zone as low as
It's about 83%.
No, it's not. It's 1.5 to 1.
No way. It's the amount of Hamas insurgents killed is around like 20 grand. And then we're talking about nearly 200,000 people that have died from this.
200,000? Okay, so 200,000.
Obviously not bombings and everything, but in terms of untreated disease, famine, or starvation.
Okay, so when you're comparing it to other battlefields, you have to actually compare apples to apples, right? If you're comparing it to other warfare, you have to compare people who died because of the fighting, not because of all the other things. If you want to compare it to because the United States, you're American.
I'll call
right?
out any military that has. I think the United States is barbaric in the way we do things in the Middle East.
Okay, the United States is responsible for
Obama killed like 15 million people with like. No, like
okay, now you want me to defend America? Okay, the United States is responsible for more stability and peace than the history of that, better than anything that the history of civilization has ever experienced. Your country's army is responsible for an amount of peace that the human race has never experienced, and you should be grateful for that as an American. But but regardless, I want to focus on Israel, because if you want to focus on Israel, the only way that we could judge Israel is by comparing it to other countries' behavior when they're defending themselves, right? And if you compare it to other countries, you have to see how many civilians were killed by because of military warfare, not because of other things, because we want to compare apples to apples. It would be unfair if for Israel we count the civilians who died from other things, and then we're comparing it to other countries' performance, and we don't count it for them, right? It needs to be the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sure. If you compare the ratio of Israel to other countries, they have done better than any other country, and they have done this in an area where they have all the disadvantages. They have done it in Gaza. Gaza has the second highest population density in the world.
It's basically right? Manhattan.
Yeah. And it has the enemy that you're fighting doesn't wear uniform, and the enemy that you're fighting uses human shields. So it's actually close to a miracle for Israel to achieve the lowest civilian to combatant ratio in an area where all of these three elements are working against it. By the way, you know who knows the IDF is moral? Hamas. And Hamas is admitting it because they're not using uniform. I mean, think about this. Why does Hamas find this uniform only for its propaganda videos, but when they're fighting, they don't use their uniforms? If IDF was not trying to reduce civilian casualties, then not wearing a uniform would not make any strategic sense for Hamas. The only reason this gives Hamas a strategic advantage to not wear a uniform. It would be in a scenario where when Hamas knows that the IDF is trying to reduce civilian casualties. That's the only way this would work in their favor. So by not wearing uniforms, Hamas is admitting that the IDF is trying to reduce civilian casualties.
That's not, but like I said, this isn't you there. Like I said, you're just denying the stories that have came out about the conflict, when in terms of
I'm
the
not. I
story
don't
about
even know.
the snipers
I'm
that have
not.
shot at people whom are trying to gather resources, specifically children. Like I said, there's a video of ambulances running in to help people, and they get shot up. Like I can't name
So,
everything off the top of my head because I don't have it in front of me. But if I was given 15 minutes, I would at least be able to give you 20.
but I didn't deny any of the examples because I don't even know the examples. I need to, like, I have investigated examples myself that I had a problem with. So I don't know which examples you're referring to for me to accept or deny. Okay. If you tell me about, first of all, I know, like, I'm not saying the ones that you're telling me are BS, but I know there are a lot of BS examples that have been made up that when I looked into
what
it.
about like the flotilla
but
and the services they
But
denied to Palestine recently?
finish this point. Let me finish this point, okay?
Okay.
For my point is that the IDF's end result shows that they have been performing very well, even if the examples that you give me are real, which I don't know if they're real or not, because I have to, every single one of these examples need to be investigated separately. What I can tell by the end result is that the overall the IDF has been the most moral army in the history of modern warfare. Even if the examples that you're telling me are true, and if they're evil, and if they're war crime, it wasn't enough for it to change the end result. Like, it doesn't even move the scale a little bit compared to how they performed overall. But yourself, next question regarding the what was your next question?
No, I was saying another. Then why wouldn't they allow aid from the flotilla, for example? Like, why wouldn't they just, get the people, like, check them in through the IDF and then get the resources in? People are hungry.
First of all, Israel has moved more calories into Gaza than any army ever in the history of modern warfare. Since October
According to
7th
who?
till now.
According
According to even the United Nations numbers show this. You don't even have to trust Israel for this. They have moved 3,000 calories per day per person to Gaza. I'm not saying there's no hunger in Gaza, because the food doesn't get into the hand of many people in Gaza, because Hamas attacks the trucks that get in. And many of the UN truck drivers refuse to drive the trucks in even after the food gets into Gaza, because Hamas attacks them and steals the goddamn food and sells it back to the people in Gaza triple the price. But the reason why they don't allow food from every single direction is because they need to check. They have a system, they have a process for food to get in, and it needs to be very precise. It needs to come from the bases that they have set up, because Hamas has managed to create so many different weapons by putting them into small little pieces, into different cargoes coming in, and then basically assembling them all once they get in. So they need to be very careful about what they allow in, and they need to check everything. And it takes a lot of resources to check everything, to look for the even smallest little pieces that might be part of a bigger weapon. It's a really, really difficult job to check all of these. And even with all of these difficulty, they have used their own resources to move all of this food into Gaza. And then once they get into Gaza, they don't get distributed after they get into Gaza, because UN truck drivers refuse to drive it because of security issues.
Cool. All right. Well,
this was a friendly conversation. I think this was good.
Yeah, no. I don't like to be an asshole.
Well, you're not.
Cool. All right. Well, I did a quick Grok search on a few war crimes real fast, and like I said, there's a
And
few,
then
my friend.
make this last point because there's somebody else who keeps coming in and out because they're waiting. And then after this, I will bring
Yeah,
that.
then I'm gonna actually forego this. I just wanted to say that I'm a Christian, and any Christians that support Israel out of the faith are misappropriating scripture, and they ought to read Romans 3 and Romans 9, Galatians 3. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Well, I'm an atheist, so I don't know how to respond.
I know that
Thank you.
I know you wouldn't want to talk about that, but this is for any Christians that are listening to this. Read your Bibles.
You don't need the Bible to support Israel. You could Israel
No,
just
but
it just makes
I'm saying
Yeah, I know,
Christians here in America use scripture to
Yeah.
support Israel, and that's essentially
I
heresy.
understand. My message to Christians is that it just makes sense to support Israel. That's it. That's my message to Christians.
The true Israel is the faith and those who follow Christ. That's all I have to say. Have a good day, my friend.
Israel is thank you. Israel is a nation state that is recognized as a nation state by international law, and that's what we're defending. Let me see. Jay, there's also Lisa, but let's just respond to Jay first, and then we'll go to Lisa. Hi, Jay.
Hi. Can you hear
Hello,
me?
go on. Yes, I can hear you. Go on.
Perfect. Okay, so I've been watching you for a little bit, a couple debates you've done, and I just kind of just been jotting down some points that I think you've kind of been misrepresenting or kind of have been straight up lying about, maybe unintentionally. But one thing we can kind of go that would like kind of just went up was the calorie. Like Israel has introduced the most amount of calories than any other wartime effort in history, right? That was your claim.
Mm-hmm.
Just to clarify.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, sorry, something popped up on my phone. So what I would just doing like research and stuff, you can see that what they're actually, it's actually like the opposite. First of all, we can go into why would they even need to bring food into these areas, because they've completely wiped out Palestine's own ways of distributing and their own food networks. Everything they've had has been completely destroyed. So that first of all created the need for this humanitarian aid. However, if you look at like the UN, the WFP, Human Rights Watch, like all of the organizations are accusing them of severely restricting the supplies. Like that there's mass starvation. Like this is what the current like atmosphere is like. I haven't seen a single person other than commentators like you who don't show any actual like evidence to where they're getting that quote from, saying that they're bringing in tons of food, when in reality it's the opposite. They're restricting calories. The food that they do give them is mostly made up of wheat. There's no meat in their diets at all, so it ends up like creating feeble bodies because they can't actually nourish themselves. So that's just kind of one point right there of how they've just the destruction of Gaza's own food systems, the restriction on aid convoys, and the scale of hunger is proof to contrary what,
So
what
I
you're saying.
have a peer-reviewed study that found that the average resident of Gaza was getting about 3,000 calories per day, well above the.
Where are you getting this from?
Okay, you want me to?
Let's look at the
send you the
UN
link?
data. Have you like WFP, OCHA?
I have a peer-reviewed academic research. Do you want the link or not?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Here's the link. I also have a lot more resources if you want. Okay. I could also have the number of tons of trucks, the number of trucks that went in, the tons of food that has been reported to be logged to go in. I have every single one of them. But I think this should be enough for now. I could actually provide you.
So this shows
all.
me how much. So about 500,000 metric tons. But if we go to like the UN data, this is about 25 to 30% of what the
What's the
nutritional
problem?
needs are needed to
what
be
is
met.
your issue with the study that I just sent you? This is a peer-reviewed academic
Well,
research.
I think it's kind of you're kind of like redirecting me. You're trying to say, well, look at all the food they brought in, but how do we? that food doesn't tell me how many people it feeds, you know?
Oh yeah, I agree with you on that. That's what I said in the last call, that people are still going hungry. And I basically break this down in my article, guys. Let me actually put this article. I wrote an article about this
Well,
here. I give the
okay.
link in the chat. I will give you a link also in the Google Meet to you. The people in Gaza are not getting all the food. The food is getting, like, Israel is getting the food in, but the people in Gaza are not getting the food because Hamas attacks the trucks and
Oh,
steals
well,
the
yeah.
food.
So they create these long corridors, right, for these zones that they need to walk that are fenced in. They're like 6 feet wide, so you can't even get vehicles into them, right? And they're miles and miles away. That they purposely
But
drop the food supplies outside of where these people live, so that they have to be displaced and have to walk literal all day, all night to go and wait at a specific 1 hour. 1 hour. So they're gonna say 7 a.m. You guys better all be here, and you got to walk that 10 kilometers or however far away
you're
they are
talking
through this
about
corridor.
the UN, but you're basically complaining about
And then
who
once
the
the
UN
hour's
is.
up, they start shooting.
Okay, are you? So first of all, I think you're confusing. You're talking about the new Gaza Humanitarian Foundation.
Yeah.
You're talking about that. Okay, so
All
but
the human
what I
aid.
sent you. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're getting your facts mixed up, because what I sent you is about UN distribution. So even before we go into the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and what they did and what their performance has been like,
No, the UN
this,
gives
the
it
calorie.
to them, and then Gaza
Listen,
Humanitarian is
you
responsible
keep
for
interrupting me.
distributing it.
No, this is so the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is a new solution. We could discuss that, but let's do one thing at a time. Because what I sent you is about all the calories that got in, that the UN was responsible for distributing it, not the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, the UN. So what is your,
Yes, but
because
that's not,
under
no, you're
international
kind of,
under international law, Israel is not responsible for distributing the food once the food gets into Gaza. Israel is
yeah, but
responsible to
they
get the
set up
food
where the
into
food's
Gaza.
allowed to go. So
No,
they
you're
set up
talking about,
here's a
you're
military zone where we can protect you.
no,
We're
you're
only going to
miss
protect you here if you drop it here. So
okay,
that's
you're
where they're
not
going to bring
listening to
it.
me. You're not listening to me. You're confusing two different events. Okay, you're talking about the Gaza
This is
Humanitarian Foundation. Let's
generalized.
talk about the study that I sent you is for the time that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was not even distributing the food. This was for a time that the UN was responsible for distributing the food. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was the response by America and Israel to try to address the fact that UN wasn't distributing the food that Israel was getting into Gaza. Right? That
What
was
does
the
this have
because
to do with Israel being the country that brings the most calories into a war, though?
I
That's
don't
why I
think
think you're
you're
trying to
listening.
conflate the argument.
Okay,
Doesn't matter who
so
distributes
let's
it, though, right?
let's compartmentalize. Okay,
Okay.
so
All right.
under international law, Israel is responsible for moving the food, getting the food into Gaza. The distribution of that under international law is not Israel's responsibility anymore, right? So Israel was
Okay.
doing its duty for a very long time, getting the food in, and it was the food was not being distributed by the UN trucks because of the safety issues, because Hamas would attack the trucks and steal the food. Okay, but then because people in Gaza, some people in Gaza were going hungry, Israel was getting the blame for it anyways, even though Israel was doing the part of the job that it was supposed to do. So they came up with this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation to do something beyond what they were required to do under international law, to basically also distribute the food beyond what the UN is doing. So if you are unhappy with the locations of where the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is distributing the food, you have to understand those are in addition to the things that UN was supposed to do anyways. Like, there are other places that UN was distributing the food. And if you think they are too far away from the places that the people in Gaza are, that is because the people who work for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundations, they're not trained in military, and they don't want to go in a place where because Hamas is very much against the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, and they don't want to go in the middle of the people where they could get killed. They want to go
because
somewhere
Israel
far
refused to
away.
secure that close to it, so they can put it there. Why can't they
No,
just set up the
Israel,
checkpoint right there and wipe out everything over there and then start doing the food?
the checkpoints are, the UN is already there. I mean, if the
But you're
people could
saying
come
they
to the
won't go into
checkpoints,
these areas because Israel won't guarantee their safety. Why
no,
not?
Israel, no. Okay, so there was a conversation between the UN and Gaza. So going to those areas, the people say that the only person that they don't want IDF to accompany the trucks going to those areas. The people over there say that they want Hamas, basically the blue hat people, I don't know what they're called, to go and provide the security for the trucks that are coming and bringing the trucks in. Israel is saying that no, we don't accept that, because the Hamas is basically the same people that steal the food from the truck. Right. So, but the people in those
Hamas is was the government of Palestine. It's like literally their democratically elected government.
Well, yeah, and they are the same people who steal the food. So
they
Israel
don't have
is
a
saying,
right
like,
to say how they want to distribute their food to their people.
Well, they're not distributing it. That's the problem. They're stealing it and selling it triple the price. And Israel is saying we refuse to give Hamas to give the responsibility of securing the food that Hamas steals to Hamas itself.
Why
Because
would Hamas
if we do that,
if
we do that, we were basically sending food in to fuel and fund Hamas. Like, why would we fund our enemy? We want to basically have the food somewhere that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation people are safe, where people could come get it without actually fueling Hamas and arming them and fueling them.
I think it's just become a game of semantics, and because people can just put the blame off of well they won't let me do this, and then it's too dangerous to go over here and do that.
Like, it's not semantics. It's not semantics that Hamas attacks the trucks and steals the food. That's not semantics. That's something that the people in Gaza have been complaining about.
It's
people
debatable.
In Gaza No, people in Gaza have been reporting this themselves. This is
same for Israel shooting on site after the allotted time for grabbing the food is up. There's video proof of it.
That's not okay. The media. I know what you're talking about. Hamas what Hamas does, because Hamas is very much Hamas wants the UN to distribute the food because they can steal it. Hamas doesn't want the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation to distribute
it for what? Steal for what?
Okay,
if they want to secure a future for Palestinian people, what are they stealing it for?
They're stealing it for because okay, so Hamas is not for the Palestinians. You don't understand Hamas. Okay, let me actually answer you. Do you want to answer or do you want to interrupt me?
I want you to get what I'm talking about first, though. Before
but
we
you
just
don't.
go
No. Let me answer you. You ask a question. Let me finish the response. Okay. So Hamas does not want to feed the people. Hamas uses the people in Gaza. Hamas is not for the people of Gaza. Hamas uses the misery, the blood and tear of people in Gaza for the sake of the movement. This is not a conspiracy because they have said this themselves. They have admitted this. I know this. I know this ideology. I'm Iranian. I was born under this ideology. I know that they don't care about the lives of Muslims. They think the blood of a dead Muslim is more valuable than the life of a living Muslim. This is the Islamic ideology.
They have some ideas we don't agree with.
No, okay, this is way beyond we're not agreeing with. This is a death cult. Okay, so they're not stealing the food they're not stealing the food to feed the people. They're stealing the food so they could sell it to the people, so that they could feed their own fighters and sell it to the people.
I heard you
so
say
that they could, huh?
To me, I heard you say that. I guess what I'm saying is that's debatable. I don't think if they're trying, if you were running a war effort,
listen to the people in Gaza.
Hold on. I will, but if if I'm running a war effort, and first of all, Hamas was elected by these people, right? So we're tired of like stuff not getting done, things go into radical areas. Hamas seizes power. Okay, so if their idea, Hamas wants to gain back the territory that was taken from them 75 years ago, then they would want as many people as possible so that they can have settlers. So that you would want to be having your war effort and the people in the country that you're trying to propel forward, you'd want them healthy and fighting and capable. So I just don't see them stealing the food that's being given to them and then not redistributing it. Where is it going then? Like you say they're selling it. These people have no money.
They have. Do you think there's no money in Gaza?
Not a lot. They're living in tents. That's another thing. When the IDF goes into these areas, and then you see videos of them
right now. There's stores in Gaza right now. How if there's no money?
My point is most of everybody. You're telling me all the money that these guys had, they just were able to take all their valuables. They were able to just up and take it with as soon as this stuff started happening. Like, that's not realistic, man. There obviously is a substantial amount of money that was lost from these people.
Just last week, there was a Nutella shop open in Gaza. Did you see that? Just last week.
Yeah, a Nutella shop opening in Gaza. All right, man. My point is
You
they don't
haven't
let
seen
any
that?
they don't let
You
any
haven't seen that? It
international
actually looked.
journalists
It actually. I was
inside.
very impressed. Actually, it looked really good. Do you guys want me to show that to you? It was actually really nicely designed. You
Some
guys think like all of
propaganda to
Gaza?
tell us
You
like, oh,
guys
look
think
at they
like
got
you?
Nutella. There's nothing bad's happening.
Did I say nothing bad is happening? Why
That's
are
what
you
you're
putting
trying to
words in
do.
my
You're
mouth?
redirecting my argument. You're trying
No,
to literally
you're acting
minimize what I'm
like
saying.
no. You're act. I'm responding to you. You are acting like
You haven't let
all
me
of Gaza.
respond.
You are acting like all of Gaza is like wasteland and everybody's living in tents.
Not all of
I
it,
didn't say.
but 70%.
I didn't say. I said I didn't say that there's nothing bad is happening. Okay, you acting like
That's
there's
it.
no money in
That's,
Gaza. But the fact
no,
that there's
I'm
still
saying there's
restaurants
barely
running, that the
any
fact
to
that
feed
there's
yourself.
shopping, the fact that there is branded Nutella
There is,
cafes that
yeah,
are
on the
opening,
very
that
edges of
shows
it.
that there is money. Okay, so yeah, there is enough
They haven't
money.
invaded those
There,
areas yet, though.
there are enough money that's circulating and transactions are happening. So
So
obviously,
can I
Hamas,
bring
when
up a few
Hamas sells the
points?
food, yeah, go on.
Okay,
Go on.
so I would say one, they don't let any journalists, they don't let any international journalists come into this war, right? So the only information that we get is from Israel and Gaza themselves, Hamas, basically. So first off, I think that's pretty suspicious. That hasn't happened ever. And then we can go into if they're not just trying to displace these people, and you talk about, oh, they do knock bombs to fucking make sure people go out of the buildings before they actually like demolish the entire building first. Like so to that point is we see videos of IDF coming into like apartment buildings, and they wired them up completely with explosives, and then the whole block just gets fucking leveled.
Wait,
And
one
I
point
asked
at a
myself,
time. Okay, one point at a time. You're talking.
if there's terrorists in that building, they wouldn't have time to go in and methodically
All right.
line every single thing with an
All right.
explosive,
Let me.
timed
I just
explosive.
respond. I need to go soon, so let's just respond to the journalist claim. Okay, you're saying they're not letting any journalists in, right?
Yeah.
Does Gaza not have
If you need to
journalists and
go soon,
vloggers?
then let's talk about how the Nakba started.
Hold on. Let me respond to this.
That would be
Does
more important.
Israel? Okay, I need to also bring Lisa up, and that's the last person. Okay, does Gaza not have journalists? Does Gaza not have vloggers? Does Gaza not
No, they
have
do.
like
I
thousands
said,
of
yeah,
people with their phones with cameras
they
recording
do.
everything that is happening? Okay, so what's the point?
The point is an American journalist can't go over there and start digging around.
What? So what is Gaza? What is are Gaza's
So you're
journalists
saying
incapable of digging around and recording things and sending it
no,
over
but
the
nobody will
internet?
believe them. No one will believe them. You can't have
Nobody.
it's a conflict of interest, man. You can't have these people self-reporting on
Everybody,
themselves
the whole
because
world,
then Israel can be
anybody
like,
who's anti,
oh, well, it's
like,
all a lie. There's
okay,
a conflated numbers. Everything they're saying is a lie, right?
no, okay. So if you record things and send it, we will believe it. Okay, you don't need. I'm pretty sure
No, they
Gaza have
don't.
its.
They say the starving children are fake videos. Netanyahu literally said that. He said that they are fake videos. That the
That
starving
was
children, and then Donald Trump had to say
because the
those
fake
don't look fake
because
to
those
me.
have been fake. Those have been verified by experts to be fake videos.
But you just said if it's video, it can't be fake.
No, if it's a video that an expert looks at and considers it to be real, then it's real. But if an expert looks at the video and says that
Can you
this is
show
clearly
me
a fake
how
video,
those
then I
starving
don't.
children are
It's
not
not
real?
okay. No, okay. The video. No, okay. So you changed my point. Let me actually make one
No,
point
the
at a time.
video. The video. Show me how that
Hold
video
on.
is debunked.
If a video is fake, it doesn't matter if it comes from a so-called Palestinian or American. A fake video is a fake video. If an American
Agreed.
journalist makes a fake video, it's also a fake video. Okay. Also,
Yes.
I didn't say that. You look. That's it. You know, this is.
I'm not conflating. No, you're trying to conflate it. I said, show me the fake video. Show me the debunking.
I never
You're
once.
just gonna say that. You're gonna say, you're saying there's no starving children. That's what you were just about to say out of your mouth.
I never once said there are no starving people in Gaza. In fact, I admitted that they were starving because of Hamas attacking the trucks and not letting food get in. Okay, that's what I said. I said just when I say those videos that have been identified as fake were fake, that is not the same claim as saying there are no starving people in Gaza. You
You're
said,
conflating
are
my
you
argument.
you're asking, you
I said
specifically
this is
asked me.
exactly what you were gonna do.
Okay,
I
you're not
said,
letting
show me
me.
the video you were
You're
talking
not letting
about.
me. You're
Show me
not
the
letting
video
me
you're
even
talking
finish
about.
your point. You're not letting me
Not
finish
the
my
starving
sentences.
people. I am.
You specifically said to me that are you saying there are no starving children in Gaza, even though I never said that.
I
I never
didn't say
said that.
that. I said, show
You
me the
asked me that
video that
question.
says there's no starving
No,
children. That's what I said.
Okay, but I never claimed that there is no starving children. Why would I have to show you
I'm
that
not
video?
saying you aren't. I'm saying I want to see the video you're talking about that got debunked, man. Has nothing to do with the
Oh,
starving children.
you asked that question first. Don't deny it. This is the second question.
Okay,
Okay. You want
all
me to
right.
go look that? You want me to go now dig the fake videos that I fact checked and like you want the fake videos now?
Well, what was Donald
mean-
Trump referring to when he said, "I've seen the
don't re-
video. It doesn't look fake to me"?
I don't know. Trump says a whole bunch of things. I haven't listened to
It's
every
kind of
fucking thing that
concerning
Trump
that
says.
you don't like.
Okay.
Same with the videos of the ambulance. Let's go to. You were saying that
Same video with the ambulance. I am the
A-
person that actually. Okay, no, we need
you
to
were
go to
saying
the
that
next
the
person.
Arabs were it would cause the invasion of the Nakba, right? And that's why Israel responded. But you know,
Yes.
May 15th is when that invasion happened. May 14th, 1948, Israel establishes themselves as a nation, and America recognizes them within minutes, right? So after that happens, there's an expulsion of 300 Arab settlements that are because of this agreement that they have done. That's when it actually started, was when they started the Iraq War, or the Nakba, basically, is when the Arabs resulted from Israel's unilateral, like basically, because they became secular and took all, or they became sovereignized, and they took all this land. That is what started the uprising, right? So then there's a hotel bombing where 91 people are killed, and this is the day after. And this hotel bombing was when the IDF, which wasn't the IDF at the time, it was like these pre-state Jewish militias. They bombed a hotel, which created a huge. And this is fact. Like, you can look back on this and look this up. Like, we know this. They've admitted this. And look up Walid Khalidi, and then
let me just respond to this,
and the
and then I
Dain
need to
Yassin
go. Okay.
massacre. That's what caused it.
So
After that,
the
Arabs
UN part.
invaded.
Okay, well, it's Arab, not Arab. So let me see. The UN Partition Plan Resolution 181 happened on November 29, 1947. Proposed two states, one Jewish, one Arab. Jews accepted it. Arabs rejected it outright. Arab League Secretary General Azam Pasha said this will be a war of extermination and a momentous massacre. Wow. Okay. And then immediate Arab attacks, even before Israel's declaration, Arab irregulars and local militias began attacking Jewish convoys and neighborhoods in December 1947 till May 1948. For example, the Hadassah medical convoy massacre on April 13, 1948 by Arab forces in Jerusalem. And then there was a full-scale invasion after independence on May 15, 1948. The armies of Egypt, Jordan, Syria,
May
Lebanon,
15th
and
when the
Iraq
invasion
invaded
happened.
Israel. Let me hold on. I'm not finished. Israel, their stated goal was to destroy the new state and prevent the establishment of a Jewish homeland. This invasion triggered the broader war that
I'm not
caused the
denying that.
Palestinian Okay, hold on. This invasion triggered the broader war that caused the Palestinian exodus. UN and British records show the UN Security Council Resolution 50, May 29, 1948, called for a ceasefire after the Arab invasion, confirming who initiated the war. British Foreign Office records note Arab aggression began once the mandate ended and Israel was proclaimed. Statements from Arab leaders themselves. So Azam Pasha, the Arab League, said this will be war of extermination and momentous massacre, which will be spoken of like the Mongolian massacres. Jordan's King Abdullah
You're not denying it.
Abdullah wrote privately in 1948 that the Jews did not start the war, we did. Okay.
So if you can you look up like the Dire Yassin massacre or the Plan Dalet or Operation Nokshan or Operation Donnie, like these are all like in the months leading up of like creating. Just look up the Dar Yassin massacre. It's a huge displacement. So they started after, so before borders are even recognized, they're already moving people out of where they're what's going to be their land. You know. So
Okay.
they've started.
So
So
let me
yeah, there's these little skirmishes going
So-
on around, but
so
the whole reason is because they're being
let me look
expelled,
at this.
right?
They weren't expelled until, as I just read you, they weren't
This
expelled
isn't
until
true. Look at the.
Let
I
me-
just gave you contrary
okay.
evidence.
I'm looking at it.
All right.
Okay. So
Okay.
this was in April 9, 1948, which was
Yep,
location in Deir Yassin, a village west of Jerusalem. So the actors were Irgun Etzel and Lehi Stern Gang. Not in the main. So this was not the
Yeah, they were killing
Haganah,
Ergun
which-
and Lehi fighters.
Hold on. Okay, you're not really letting me investigate this. Okay, so
Okay.
this was not the Haganah, which is the main Jewish defense force. So what's the context? The context is Arab forces had been besieging Jerusalem for months, cutting off supplies to 100,000 Jews. Deir Yassin was strategically located near the main road used by Arab irregulars to attack Jewish convoys. So what happened? The Irgun and Lehi attacked to secure that road. Fighting broke out. Both sides exchanged fire. Casualties were around 100 to 110 villagers died, including civilians. The number was later exaggerated to 250 to 300 by Arab propaganda. The
Okay, where are you getting?
Hold on.
Where are you getting this
Hold
from? This is
crap,
so
man.
biased.
You know what? You don't really let me read what I have here. The Haganah condemned the attack, officially apologized, and even sent food and aid to survivors. So the Deir Yassin incident occurred after 4 months of Arab attacks on Jewish convoys, villages, and neighborhoods. Example, the Hadassah medical convoys massacre. Okay, it seems like they started it. Massacre on April 13, 1948. 78 Jewish doctors,
About
nurses,
March
and
1948.
patients were okay. I don't really know if I can talk to you because given that much you interrupt me. I'm investigating. You just drop things and it requires me looking deeper into it.
Yeah, I know. That's what I want you to do. I'm trying to ask you to look these up. That's exactly what I'm
I
asking you
have
to do.
the sources that I can send you for everything that I'm reading. Okay. Let me
I do
actually
too.
finish
I'm
this.
just
So,
okay.
So you can see before this attack, occurred after months of Arab attacks on Jewish convoys, villages, and neighborhoods. For example, the Hadassah medical convoy massacre on April 13, 1948, where 78 Jewish doctors, nurses, and patients were burned alive by Arab militias 4 days after. Okay, so Arab leaders used exaggerated reports of Deir Yassin to incite panic, broadcasting horror stories that caused many Palestinians to flee. Something historians like Benny Morris and Ephraim Karsh both note. By the way, yes, so this is actually, I remember this. Part of the reason why so many so-called Palestinians ran away was because of how much the Arab leaders were exaggerating what was happening. Anyways,
Can I make
here's
one
the
point? Yes,
sources.
they were saying that,
You
and
just-
it was because they expected to win, so that they would be able to have their people come back after the war. They wanted the
Okay, so-
civilians to leave.
Yeah, so that fear mongering caused was one of the main reasons why Nakba happened, because so many Arabs were terrified
Agreed.
about the things that these Jews were doing.
But Israel helped propagate that, is my point, because it was beneficial to them.
Okay, but whether that's true or not, at the end of the day, I could, based on everything I'm saying, the Arab countries started it, and the Nakba started because the Arab countries attacked Jews. Anyways,
But
I need
because
to
they came over
say your
there.
last statement because I really need to go.
My last statement. David Ben Gurion was secular, and look up Theodore Herzl, the founder of Zionism, Zionist father, and see how he referred to Israel as human materials. and it was just a movement to get people to go to some area. So they dug through thousands of years of biblical texts to find something, and they stuck to being expelled from Rome 3,000 years ago. So they took advantage of people's religious and ideological faith to bring them over to an area that they could invade after Britain had just overthrown the
So
territories over there. So they
you're
owned
trying to say
something.
that the main Zionists at the beginning were secular? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's what I say all the time. So I don't know. Okay,
I'm just
I
saying
agree
that
they were secular.
the whole movement is manipulating people just so that they can force their way into some area.
Herzl was trying to save Jews from all the world global attacks
Yeah,
against
he wanted to
Jews.
reimagine what the Jew was, from being a feeble like low life who lives in the ghetto to being like some macho hero. That was what he wanted to reimagine the
Macho
Jewish
to be
person as.
yeah. So that's a noble cause for you to try
I
to save your people
agree.
from being okay. So
But the way that they went about it is extremely manipulative, and then they stole land to go and start something in
they
a
didn't
place where
steal. Okay,
they say
we're
their DNA is
we're
better
now
than everyone
adding.
else's,
They
God given,
didn't
right?
steal any land. Nobody owned that
It
land.
was
That
given to
was
them by Britain. Britain did. And then they
okay. So it
expanded
wasn't
the
stolen. So it
territory.
wasn't stolen then. It wasn't stolen because it didn't belong to
They
anybody.
expanded the territory, but
They did.
It was
They
stolen from the
expanded the
people that were
territory
native
because
there.
under international law, you are allowed to expand your territory if the other side attacks. Under international law, you're not allowed to expand your territory if you are the aggressor. But if the other side is the aggressor, you have a point to show that you need a buffer between you and your enemy,
Well,
so you get to keep the place.
it wasn't always like that,
If
though.
under international law, if you are attacked, if in the process of defending yourself, you come up with more land, you get to keep it if you want. That's under
Okay, but
international law.
Jews and
The
Palestinians
only
lived
time that you cannot,
together
the
without any
only time that you
problems when
cannot.
it first started.
Okay, that was supposed to be the last thing that you're saying, but that was you add more claims instead of making your last statement because you know that I'm going to have to respond.
Well,
Can you
what?
add your last
Well,
statement without
what
actually
else do you have
bringing
to
out?
do?
Okay, because I have to. I have a life. I have to go spend time with my family. That's what I have
Oh,
to
all
do.
right. So you're gonna stop streaming. You're done debating. All right. If you're done
Yes,
debating, then yeah, for sure.
yes. In
Then
fact, I spoke so much to you that Lisa was waiting for me. Lisa left, so I don't
sorry,
have
man.
anyone else to talk to. That's okay. So sorry, Lisa. I apologize. I just don't want to leave any claims without a response. But anyways, thank you for coming up. I appreciate you at least.
Of
Talking with
course.
me. I appreciate. Yeah. Okay. All right, man.
Thank
I'm
you
gonna
for
head
holding
out.
my space. You too. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. You too. All right. Bye. All right, guys, let's respond to the super chats. We got 3 more super chats while I was talking. So thank you so much. How was that, by the way, guys? I know like there's less support for this when I respond to people compared to the main show. But if we get to 10 super chats, I'm going to do this. So let me know if you want me to do more of this or not. Sean is saying dedicated to the monkey on the shelf. Oh, yeah, I already read that one. Thank you. Mom at first place. Oh, that's what you meant last time. Well, thank you, Shani. Thank you so much for the super chat. Al, thank you so much for the $1 super chat. That's very sweet. Thank you. And Nailbody saying, Armin, remind him of the Barbary pirates and the U.S. The U.S. never did anything to them. When asked, they said Islam commands them to attack non-Muslims. I mean, it's berber. Yeah, because that's دوزه دریایی berber. That's what we call. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, this is part of Islam. This is part of this. I mean, there are so many examples of this, but true. Hold on, let me see. Darko just gave a super chat saying good stuff, Armin. Thank you so much, Darko. Let me know, guys, was this good? Like, do you guys want me to sometimes thank you, Darko, for saying that, and let me know if you guys want me to do more debates with people. Sorry again to Lisa. Let me end the call on Google Meet because she was waiting for such a long time. All right, guys, don't forget to like the stream. Don't forget to leave a comment after the show is over. Don't forget to recommend Atheist Republic to people and, and all of that. And support Atheist Republic. Just recommend us, okay? Word of mouth helps us grow. And also Ziv saying, yeah, continue this type of content. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Were you happy with how I respond? Like, I think I do a good job on average. I think I did a good job responding to them. All right, guys. Thank you, Ziv, for the super chat. Oh my God, we got another super chat. All right, let's do another super chat. Thank you. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but you're saying, thanks for standing with Israel. Please use actual archived footage of Arabs that debunk Palestinian claims and propaganda. Nakba was a failure to genocide 600,000 Jews of Israel. I mean, yeah, I mean, the records are there. Anybody who doesn't want to admit that, I mean, this is known history. That's what the Nakba was. They were they stated it. Like, they're like, hey, let's go wipe out Israel and make a pan-Arabist empire and just get rid of all these Jews. It was an attempt of genocide. This is history. Okay. Thank you, guys. And I'm going to head out. Okay. Stay with me. Okay. Say it with me. You guys know what I'm going to say. Am Israel Chai, Javid Shah. See you guys on the next stream.